All right, everybody, welcome in. Let's get our heads right on a Tuesday. Ben and Woods, 97.3, The Fan. Lovely to be here with you. I am Woodsy. To my right is Paul Reindl, the executive producer of the program. Good morning, Paulie.
Hey, how are you?
Doing great. Ben Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor. I am looking at way too much of his leg, and I see a lot of leg. Paulie and I were at a gentleman's club recently, and I didn't see that much leg at a gentleman's club, to be honest. Hey there, Delilah. It's way too much skin.
Yeah, what are we doing?
What is happening? Why are you wearing shorts in here?
Hot
It is hot in here. Son of a bitch, it's hot.
warm in the studio.
Turn your mic
Turn
on.
your mic on.
Sorry.
First time in a radio station?
Yeah, welcome
Warm
to the
in
program,
here.
dude.
It's hot. I'm overheating already.
I am too. I've got the gym today, my trainer. So I wear compression pants because my legs are wrecked. So I have those on with these pants over. I'm dying right now. I'm dying because I can't wear shorts to the gym because I don't have the legs that you do or every other man at that gym has.
I can't sweat in pants. I have to wear shorts.
I'm sweating in double pants
Ugh.
today in the gym. So I have to wear these because I feel weird wearing tights in there because nobody else does because they all show off their tanned, toned legs.
Muscular leg.
I was thinking about it yesterday. The fact that I'm going to the trainer 2 days a week, it needs to be uncomfortable. If it's too comfortable, it's not good for me. The drive sucks. The trainer, Brent, is awesome, but he's a devil, right? It has to be uncomfortable. The drive home, horrible from PB, horrible. It has to be uncomfortable for me to go. And now wearing these, I'm very uncomfortable. And it's very warm in here. If any of the engineers are listening to our show, you can come in and crank it down. No, Carlos, I do not have varicose veins that I'm afraid to show off. I'm literally just afraid to show off white, pasty, skinny bird legs in a gym like this where they just don't exist. So yeah, we'll be in here sweating, dude.
So are you saying that it wasn't your legs that first attracted your future wife to you? Because I wanted to offer you congratulations.
Thank you.
On your 11-year anniversary.
Yes.
Meeting Hannah.
Yeah, today's the
Love
day.
that story.
It's a great story. Jocelyn had seen a tweet that I had sent out this morning and said, "Is this the day you met?" And I've never heard this story. I said, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm happy to tell it. I like telling it. I enjoy it. And it's just a good reminder to everybody out there that one day, one moment can change your life entirely." And I was in the 94.9 studio. It was a Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken.
Not in this building.
Not in this building. Down on Murphy Canyon. Is that right? Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting in studio on a Tuesday, and I'm playing Capital Cities or something. Just life is in shambles at this time. Going through a divorce. It was just in shambles. And I was sitting in the studio, like feet up on the board, just waiting for Capital Cities to end so that I could play Imagine Dragons. Bored out of my skull. Just like, just waiting to, all right, here's Radioactive. I'll be right back with some iPads, right? Like that was my whole job. It was the worst. And all of a sudden, our promo director, Ciro, pokes his head in. He goes, "Hey, man, Hannah Nancaro's here with Susan Taylor. And she is like 30 minutes early for an interview with John and Tammy. And they're raising money for this healing garden for her father at Scripps. Do you want to put her on? They're looking for some media attention." Now I'd seen her on social media, Hannah, that is, and I said, "Yeah, bring her in, absolutely." And I wanted to meet her because I'd seen what she looked like, and she walked in, and I went, and she looked at me funny, and I looked at her.
You can be
funny.
very shallow at times.
Very, very. Well, I didn't know her. All I knew is what she looked like, and she walked in, and I just went, "God. Dang, all right. Hi, how are you?" And I don't know what happened, man. I really don't, because I was a bumbling, fumbling moron. Like the whole time, I couldn't get the mic to work to interview. We had to share a mic that was not planned. I couldn't get the
Good
mic.
move.
Yeah, really.
The mic's not.
Come
all
closer.
6 of these mics aren't working. Maybe you should just sit here next to me.
Paulie, you know me. I can't get my speaker to work on my new computer. You know me. Like you know that wasn't a bit. You know full well. Like I'm gonna
just slide a little bit
that
closer
was
here
it.
so we can share this
Actually,
microphone.
Sit on my lap if you want to. So I had her over. We did it.
You're not lucky that you landed her. You're lucky that you didn't land some sort of lawsuit.
Correct. Yeah. So we so I recorded the interview. I was a bumbling idiot. I mean, I really was. It was horrible. And said my goodbyes, and she walked out of the room. And it was one of those deals where I like had to. There's the board, with all the stuff on it, and I like had to brace myself. I was like, oh my God. I was like there was something there. Maybe I'm insane. I said, but there's no way. Look at me, look at her. So she goes down the hall, interviews with John and Tammy, and I don't think anything of it, really. I mean, I do. John runs in. He's like, oh, my God, how hot is she? I'm like, I was like, I'm speechless. He goes, dude, you should take her on a date. I go, John, she would not go on a date with me if I had a $100 bill hanging out of my zipper. There's no chance, okay? She's never. I'm not kidding you when I say about 1 minute later, Instagram follow, Facebook ad, Twitter follow. And I'm like, oh, so you're doing a prank on me. That's what John is. John has now set her up to hit me up and do a prank on me. So, man, it was not a prank. And so I followed her back, and, man, I waited all day. I waited till probably 3 or 4 o'clock. And I sat down at the old computer, and I was like, all right, man. I went to Facebook. Hey, great meeting you today. Like, just looking for any reason to hit her up. Great meeting you today. Heard a lot of great things about your dad. By the way, that event that you're having, where would one get tickets for that? I know exactly. It's bellyup.com. I know exactly where to get tickets. All right? So she writes back, bellyup.com. And I said, I may come. She goes, okay, great. And I was like, hey, we should go out for a beer sometime. And she writes, well, beer's good, but tequila's better. And I said, oh, okay, now we're cooking with gas here. All right. Don't make any stupid sudden moves. So I go to the event, see her. There's definitely a spark there. We exchange phone numbers, and then she wouldn't go out with me for like 3 weeks. So we met today, but our first date is like 3 weeks from now because I was old. She said, I'm not dating you because you're old. My dad was old, and he died, so I'm not going to date another old guy. That would be very dumb. And then we did start dating, and it was the rest is history. And then it's crazy, man. I always talk about this week. The 1st is when I started on the air. The 4th is when I met Hannah, and the 6th is when Bo was born. Different years. This first week of February, I tell you guys, how much do I hate January? It's because I love February so much. Such a special month for me.
You're sure this isn't like a long con?
For
like
who?
She's her. Like
for her?
She's just been
her and John
practical
have been
joking
working
you.
on this bit.
This has been like a giant
years.
bit.
No, I swear.
Marriage, kids, everything, and finally she's
have
gonna drop
kids
the
with
hammer.
him.
You really think I was interested in you? Ha! Joke's on you.
Couldn't even get the mics to work, you moron.
Listen. If it was a long con, I respect the bit. It's like the Truman Show. I really respect it. And if that's the case, I mean, I got 2 beautiful kids out of it, and, Hotel Hannah a few times. It's not the worst thing that ever happened to me. It's not the worst bit of all time. Somebody said, tell us about your first kiss.
I haven't heard this story.
So we went on a date to sushi, and we had the most awkward ass-out hug of, like, all time. Like, there was no... I was like, oh man, I blew it. We had dinner for like 3 hours, and we were just talking and whatever. It was nice. And then we went on our second date.
I can't picture you awkwardly hugging someone.
Oh.
You dive in.
I'm a diver. She's
even
not.
When people don't want it, they still get it.
She was not. She was not about a hug at all. And I was like, oh, sorry. Oh, hello. And it was just horrible. So then the next date, we went to a place in OB, and we had lunch, and then I was like, well, I just live right around the corner. Let's go to my house. So we did, and we went and laid down.
Nice.
And next thing you know, we started making out, and it was pretty hot and heavy. But got the old hand slap pretty early, so I had to wait about another month on that. And but yeah.
You were reaching for somewhere you shouldn't have been reaching for.
Yeah,
got it.
Definitely. Got the whack, And so, yeah.
Hooter research.
Yeah, 100%. I was trying to do some Hooter research, and I got my hand slapped. So then we had to, then I retreated and was very afraid to do anything. And then she actually came over a few Fridays later and initiated the whole thing. So it was pretty great. Yeah, so there it is, man. Hannah goes, okay, so what's on the menu for the show, Ben? This makes her very uncomfortable.
It's actually more of a charcuterie platter today. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. I don't know that we have a giant steak to sink our teeth into today.
We 86'd all the main entrees.
Yeah, I mean, we went through
no
all
specials tonight,
we
guys.
went through all the Fan Fest stuff yesterday. AJ didn't oblige us by making some sort of giant move yesterday. So we got some interesting little stuff. And we'll tell you about some of it.
This is the charcuterie board that you buy at the mall with the sausage and the crackers. That's what today's show is.
Summer sausage.
Sausage. It's wrapped in
crackers.
Yep. Yeah. It is. That's what it is today. It's a mall sausage board.
It is. Not quite Harry and David yet.
No.
But we will set the menu and get going here on a Tuesday. We do appreciate everybody in with us this early in the morning. Always love the Tier 1s with Paulie and Woods. I'm Ben. We'll be right back after Kelly's first check of traffic here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Ben and Woods, not live from Radio Row in New Orleans. So I've actually, the only Radio Rows I've ever been to were the ones in San Diego. I've never traveled to a Super Bowl. Woods did it once, had the experience. That was the game in Atlanta.
Atlanta, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was the Super Bowl that year?
I
Don't even remember the matchup.
No, I didn't go to the game.
No, you left before the weekend.
The Eagles?
Another Eagles game, possibly.
That was our first year on the air, so that would be 17, 18?
Would have been
19.
No, it was 19.
19. Who played in 19?
Let's see, the 20
Patriots.
January of 2019.
Patriots beat the Rams.
That was that one?
Yeah, Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia.
I just remember sitting
13-3.
Last one of the
13-3.
New England Patriots
Oh, God.
dynasty.
I just remember sitting in the big hall and seeing NSYNC walk by, and it was like, oh, we're doing this again. It was like NSYNC. It was Backstreet Boys, actually. I saw like a couple of those chodes walk by the table, and they were stopping by and doing interviews, and they were going to relaunch a tour or something, and just remember walking the other way. Had no interest in seeing Backstreet Boys.
I will say, when I was first getting started in radio, it was kind of like the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
Like, oh, one day maybe I'll be
That'll be
lucky
me.
enough to host a show.
That
and
will
they'll
be me.
Send me to Radio Row for the Super Bowl. And, as I have progressed in my career and we got started together, I did come to realize, as I think many people have, the radio from Radio Row at Super Bowl is terrible.
Terrible.
It's awful.
Yeah.
It is very selfish of radio hosts.
Now,
and
yes,
shows to go out there.
getting to go travel to the Super Bowl site, which is a week of parties and indulgence and networking and hobnobbing, is, of course, very desirable. But the actual content that you get out of being there is usually fairly horrible.
Well, let's be fair. The big shows, because I walked by some setups out there and was like, good.
The network shows.
The network shows, you walk by and you go, good God. I mean, insane
Rome,
guests.
Cowherd.
Yeah, Rome and Cowherd and at that time,
Lebitard.
I mean,
ESPN.
huge setups. And I can remember vividly standing off to the side watching as they got huge guests that came through. They're huge shows. The thing that I was most happy about, I got to meet my radio Jesus, Mike Reiner. He was sick, and Paulie had set that up for me, sweet angel.
To surprise you.
To surprise me at Radio Row. I'd never met Reiner. I'd listened to him in Dallas for years. We've had him on the show many times. We had him on previously. And he came down and spent about 30 minutes with me, and that was the most special part of it. I mean, I was on cloud nine. Man, that's a guy I grew up, and I told him, I've stolen so much from you. Like, our show is based on their show, what they had in Dallas. And it was all his ideas that I said, I'd like to take that and put it here in San Diego, and I think it would work, and it has. So I gave him full credit. But I got to sit and shoot the breeze with him, got a picture with him, and it was the most special part. And it was also fun. Like, I can remember going to dinner with, like, D. Smith and having some good-ass Southern Atlanta food, had a few beers. It was a pretty good time.
I think it's funny. You're supposed to book, like, the Super Bowl, the NFL, they put together, like, their own package. Like, you are supposed to get this block of hotel rooms from this specific hotel.
Yeah, it's
because
very dialed
obviously
in.
people are going to get a Hampton Inn, 20 miles away and drive in or whatever. But I go, I wonder what reservations look like for a Super Bowl in, say, New Orleans versus when it's in, like, Indianapolis.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
how many shows and stations across the country are like, we're good.
We were a good solid 30 minutes from where we needed to be every
Did
day.
Adam book your trip?
No, this is
You didn't book that one.
that was not Adam. That was Mighty 1090. And I feel like I was lucky to go. I was the only one from our show they sent, which was wild. I'd been in sports radio for 3 weeks. I had no idea what I was doing. None.
In a year.
As evidenced by my interviews out there. But it was, it's the thing where I said, oh yeah, now I can say, oh yeah, I went to Radio Row. It was kind of cool. But in reality, the radio itself was horrific.
From what I've gathered from other people who generally travel to the Super Bowl, the top destinations for like media to go cover the Super Bowl have always been New Orleans, Miami, and while we had a team, San Diego, when the games were here. Those were like the three best. Now, Las Vegas has been added to the mix where the game was last year.
That's going to be insane.
And that was,
it was insane.
That was insane last year, and I imagine it's now part of the rotation. The rest of them, you get kind of, Arizona, whatever.
Right by explicit.
SoFi is now in. I don't know that Los Angeles is.
It's not easy to get around.
It's not easy to get around. People don't love going there. Next year's a backup in Santa Clara.
That'd be nice.
Bay Area is nice, but Santa Clara is so far away from all the stuff.
All the Super Bowl stuff when it was there 7-8 years ago. I think all the Super Bowl stuff was still in San Francisco.
I think it was.
You're an hour away.
Yeah, you have to be so far away from the actual game. So there are some inconveniences at other places. Atlanta's okay. I think people do kind of like Atlanta, but it's not top 3 or top 4.
It wasn't great.
So, they had the Super Bowl opening night last night, which used to be called Media Day. They used to do it on Tuesday.
I did see Paige Spiranak was there, so I feel like maybe we missed the boat.
Well, see, here's the thing. The big celebrities, they don't do local radio shows anymore on Radio Row.
Are you kidding? We had Merrill Hodge. Are you kidding?
We had the Merrill Hodge.
We also had Evander Holyfield, who couldn't string together one single sentence. This is the worst. It's the worst day of my life.
I mean, they used to have it where like A-level celebrities would be walking around and you could grab them and get them on your local radio show back in San Diego or anywhere like that. Now, those guys, if they're even there, they're going to do The Herd.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to do Rome.
Herd is sick. He's not even there, man.
I saw that. Herd
is out sick.
He had to peace out in the middle of his TV show.
Was he like the flu?
They didn't say exactly what he said. He just went to like, I am going downhill fast. We're going to break, and he was gone.
Happens to the best of us,
and
dude.
Here's the problem with the trade.
With LeBron.
Folks, I am not doing too well. We're going to go to a quick break.
It's incredible.
Gone.
Yeah, if it's ever happened to you, you know that it's not fun. It's not fun at all. No, man, I don't know. Like, the thing is that the way I look at it is this. I don't want to go by myself and, like, report back. But if the three of us went, we would have a ridiculously great time. I don't know how much work we'd get done, but we would have a ridiculously great time. New Orleans is a blast. It's too much of a blast. It's too seedy. I do not have the best willpower.
If we were out there right now, though, we'd be sitting there going, "What the hell is AJ Preller doing?" Like,
we're out at Radio Row talking about.
Move.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is part of our charcuterie, our Hickory Farms charcuterie plate for the show today. We will talk about the confusion of the national media. They don't know what to make of the Padres. They're just guessing, like everybody else. They don't know what the Padres can do this offseason. Another head-scratching piece from Ken Rosenthal out this morning. Have the PECOTA projections from Baseball Prospectus. They've actually put percentage chances to make the playoffs for every team. Where do the Padres land? Do you agree with the projections of what kind of opportunity the Padres have to make the postseason? So we can talk a little bit about baseball, more of the fallout from the incredible Luka Doncic, Anthony Davis trade, and I specifically want to talk about Shams and breaking that news. He did a piece that I was fascinated by, like the process of just sending out the tweet that floored the entire basketball world.
No. The entire world.
Not even
basketball world. That's selling him short.
And what was going through his mind in essentially the 5-minute period between when he found out and sent the tweet to everybody else on Saturday night. Fascinating stuff. So we can get into that. We have our regular features like Don't Do This, Take on Woods, and the Rival Report as well. And, of course, some contests. Our biggest fan at 9 o'clock, chance to qualify for the night in the Odyssey Suite. Also have our big Vegas getaway contest or national contest as well. So keep all that in mind as we get started with Ben and Woods. We'll come back, talk a little bit about the Padres' early playoff chances before playing a single game or even showing up to spring training in 2025 coming up next year on 97.3 The Fan.
Well, California sports fans, we were just talking about the big game. I got good news. Underdog available to play in your state. The best app for your big game party is actually on your phone. It's not on your table. It's on your phone. It's called Underdog. Underdog, the best place to cash in on all your takes during the big game, which players will go off, which ones are ice cold. Make your entries in just a few taps. I did some preliminary ones last night. I took Jalen Hurts higher than 38.5 rushing yards. I took Saquon Barkley higher than 115.5 rushing yards. I mixed in some other ones in there. Travis Kelce, lower than 62.5 receiving yards. But look, with their pick'em game, you can win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on player stats. Of course, the things I just mentioned, yards, touchdowns, interceptions, and more. You can create entries with all football picks. Excuse me. Or mix and match across your other favorite sports. If you think Patrick Mahomes will rack up higher than 0.5 rushing touchdowns during the big game, just select higher. Very, very simple. You guys will have fun. You can keep riding with your entry. You can tap the Win Now button to cash out whenever you want as well. Having a blast with Underdog. So check it out for yourself. Underdog, the best place to play Pick'em. Download the app, sign up with promo code Woods, deposit now. Get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code Woods, must be 18 and over. Present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms do apply. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
Paulie's just going through some of our old tweets from Radio Row at Super Bowl to see if he can find any other guests. First thing he found was a picture of you with Ryan Leaf. What's his first thought? I don't remember that.
No idea.
Well, you stood next to him and took a picture with him.
Trey Wingo. Don't remember that.
I like Trey.
I like Trey, too.
Merrill Hodge was
That was incredible.
that was the worst interview I think I've ever heard.
Yeah.
You know how people sell products generally like they're hawking something.
Yes.
His product was concussions aren't real.
Yeah, CTE's not real. It's just a bit.
Here, I got a whole pamphlet for you.
Take this pamphlet, read it, learn it, know it, and then realize that concussions aren't real. I think you'd have to be concussed to pitch that.
Not sure how you make money on concussions aren't real, but
Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
There's
there's-
Woodsy and Ryan Leaf.
Radio Row in Atlanta, Georgia in 2019.
So uncomfortable.
6
man.
years ago last week.
So uncomfortable.
Remember, listen at 9 a.m. For us to announce today's biggest fan for a chance to qualify for the night in our Odyssey suite at a future Padres game. Just register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggest fan in order to potentially have your name called. Mentioned it earlier. The national media really has no idea what to make of the Padres.
Neither does the local media.
That's true, too. Fair enough. Fair enough. We're all in the same boat. Ken Rosenthal at The Athletic this morning has a blurb, a Padres-related blurb in his new piece, and there's no big revelations here. He latched on to the comment that A.J. Preller made at FanFest when he said, hey,
So did we
need the club to add a bat or two or an arm or two. And Ken says, well, that makes sense, but who are you exactly talking about here?
You don't worry about it, Ken.
He says most of the big free agents are gone. The biggest ones that are left, like Pete Alonso and Alex Bregman, they're not coming to San Diego. We all figured that. He talks about Nick Pivetta, but points out that Nick Pivetta rejected a qualifying offer, would cost the Padres their first-round draft pick. Not generally something that AJ likes to do. And that leaves kind of Andrew Haney, the lefty. We mentioned him earlier in the offseason. Jose Quintana, Alex Verdugo in the outfield. All those would be fits, but he said, none of those are giant difference makers. And then he goes through, of course, the ownership battle, the lack of free agent signings other than Elias Diaz. Talks about the trade rumors with Dylan Cease, Michael King, Luis Ariz. But he finishes this way. He says, do the Padres need to subtract to add? Might they add and then subtract? Do they need to subtract at all? Says the team is over the luxury tax threshold. Club officials, though, say they're operating as if it's business as usual. But Preller typically is not this inactive. And then he looks at the structure of Michael King's one-year deal to avoid arbitration and says that reflects at least a team that appears to be somewhat restricted financially. But no one really knows what's going on, like what the directives are, even in the local media. No one actually knows for sure how the Padres are operating and what constraints, if any, are being placed upon A.J. Preller.
Yeah, it's massively up in the air right now. I was just looking at Pivetta. We talked about him before the show started. And, the first-round pick that you would have to give up for Nick Pivetta, again, not something they want to do. Projections for Nick Pivetta. Now, he turned down 21. The qualifying offer was $21 million.
Something they don't want to do for Nick Pivetta.
Something they don't want to do necessarily for Nick Pivetta.
Because if they think that move would make the roster better in 2025.
They did it for Manny. They did it for Xander.
Yeah.
But I don't know that they want to do it for Nick Pivetta.
So I'm reading this little piece from Kylie McDaniel. He's talking about a 3-year, $63 million deal for Nick Pivetta. It is not materialized yet in the market. So what you could do feasibly is, if you're interested in Nick Pivetta, you wait him out and see if he'll sign a 1-year prove-it deal. But
$21 million.
You got to remember, he turned down $21 million. Now, he was looking at his numbers. He's a good. He gets a lot of punchies, man. He strikes a lot of guys out. He throws anywhere between 145 innings a year. His max was 179 a couple of years ago. And a lot of punchies, man. He does. He has a good strikeout per walk rate. He's a decent arm. I mean, he'd be better than anything we have in our 4 or 5 right now. But again, if you want to get Nick Pivetta, I think you wait and see what kind of market materializes for Nick Pivetta. Because if somebody wanted him, they could have him right now.
Yeah, Rosenthal points out Pivetta's kind of in a bad spot. He turned down $21 million.
Yeah.
So I would imagine his agent's pretty desperate to get him at least that much. Because if he doesn't, if I'm Nick Pivetta, I'm going, well, you gave me some bad advice. I could have gotten $21 million just to stay where I was with the qualifying offer. So okay, if he gets 3 years, $18 million, does that make up enough? Because
18 per.
18 per.
Right.
Does that make up enough because you got security for future years? But Rosenthal points out that a potential lockout in 2027 is actually on the minds of teams. Like, do I want to give out a 3-year contract, or do I want to accept a 3-year contract if I'm a player, knowing I may only get paid for 2 of those years?
Right.
That's a factor in some of these negotiations, and that loss of a pick is weighs on the mind of teams as well.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what I haven't heard one word about one player in particular that I always looked at as a fit here, and that is Jordan Montgomery. Now, there were the rumors earlier in the offseason where the GM went on local radio, I believe, and said, we're trading him. It's the biggest mistake I've ever made in my entire life, was adding Jordan Montgomery. We want to get rid of him. There's been no takers. He opted in to his deal smartly, meaning now you're going to have to pay me some ungodly amount of money. I want to say it's like between $25 and $26 million.
And that was before the Diamondbacks went out and signed Corbin Burns.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so the owner doesn't want him there and called him a huge, huge mistake. They want to get rid of him. What do you think you could do to get a Jordan Montgomery here for a year? Lefty. World Series experience, World Series winner, innings eater, I do believe. Guys that's going to go out and toe the rubber every 5 days. Need a lefty. I mean, it's a really good fit. I just don't know what the price tag will be.
I think.
And do you want to trade a prospect in the division to get Jordan Montgomery?
I think it's more the other way. I think the Padres, if Arizona eats a lot of that salary, Padres would definitely be interested in it. I think Jordan Montgomery is a terrific candidate to have a great bounce-back season.
Yeah.
But I bet the Diamondbacks know that as well, especially on another team. And the last thing they want to see
in the division
is having Jordan Montgomery in the division having a great bounce-back season where they're now paying.
He had a rough year last year.
They're now paying Jordan Montgomery to basically throw against them 4 times a year and maybe shove. So that's a problem for the Diamondbacks.
If you forgot or maybe never heard this was September 30th, 2024, right at the end of the regular season. Ken Kendrick, the Diamondbacks owner, on the radio talking about Jordan Montgomery.
The best way I can say it, if anyone wants to blame anyone for Jordan Montgomery being a Diamondback, you're talking to the guy that should be blamed. Because I brought it to their attention. I pushed for it. They agreed to it. It wasn't in our game plan. When he was signed right at the end of spring training. And looking back, in hindsight, a horrible decision, to have invested that money in a guy that performed as poorly as he did.
Kind of a Jerry Jones vibe going on
there,
isn't it?
Yeah, look, no glory hole for Jordan Montgomery.
It's kind of a Ron Fowler vibe.
Yeah, 100%. 188 innings in 23. 180 innings between St. Louis and Texas. No, wait. That's total. 188. He threw 117 last year, and he was 8-7 with a very high ERA.
Oh, he had a bad year last year.
Changing your mind?
No, he's a 6.23 ERA.
Yeah, it was terrible.
That's terrible. No, I didn't change my mind. I mean,
they were a bad team.
They were a bad team. They were a bad team for most of the season. Now, if they ate a majority of that contract, you take a shot on Jordan Montgomery. We don't have anybody else. No other lefties to speak of. So, I think you have to look at something like that. But I just wonder what that price tag is. I wonder, does he show up at spring training for the Diamondbacks knowing he's not wanted by the Diamondbacks?
So Pivetta, Haney, Quintana, Montgomery, those are some of the arms, potentially available. How about the bats, if AJ wants to pick up, as he said?
Quickly, though, to make the point about the arms, you don't feel any sense of urgency with any of those arms.
No.
Right? Because nothing's been urgent with any of those arms yet. I think you could afford to wait even another week if you had to see what happens.
And there's also no sense of urgency with the bats. And this is also from Ken Rosenthal's piece this morning. It says a number of free agent hitters are on hold while waiting for Pete Alonso and Alex Bregman to make their decisions. Among them, and on this list are some guys I would think the Padres would be interested in: Justin Turner, Yohan Moncada, Randall Grichuk, Ty France, Harrison Bader, Mark Canha, David Peralta, Tommy Pham, Anthony Rizzo. All of those guys, kind of waiting to see where those two big names land before they start falling into place. I would almost guarantee that with that many guys who still want to play and spots running out on rosters heading into spring training, that the Padres will probably land one of those names on a very team-friendly, 1 year, couple $1 million deal. Now, which one is it? I don't know. David Peralta coming back.
Bring back
Pham,
DP, man. Yeah.
Tommy Pham, Mark Canha could play the outfield.
David Peralta was on $1 million contract last year.
Is that right? Just $1 million bucks?
Yeah. Harrison Bader. I mean,
is he holding out? He wants more. Obviously, he feels like he did his prove it deal. No, he didn't.
He didn't crush it.
Blow
or
your
anything.
hair
Right.
back, but man, a guy that knows your system. I think he hit like 265, 8 home runs last year.
If you have, now Luis Arraez ticketed for first base mostly, you need a DH as well, or a guy who could play, first base. Ty France, Justin Turner,
Connor Joe.
Connor Joe's not even on this list, but he is also available out there. Those are a lot of names. I mean, it's not as though teams are scrambling to sign any of these guys either. There's going to be some leftovers for the Padres to pick up, and I do think some of those guys will be complete busts, but a couple of those guys will have decent years that can absolutely help the Padres. So it'll be imperative for A.J. Preller to pick correctly.
Yep.
What's behind door number 6 here? Oh, look, it's Tommy Pham. Oh, yeah. Tommy Pham hits 275 and steals some bases for you and adds a little intensity and edge. He could be a huge pickup for the Padres.
Sure.
I don't know, though.
I'm proud of myself.
Yeah.
He could also, have a disappointing year like he did a couple times in San Diego. All right, we're going to check traffic. When we come back, the new Pacoda projections.
I'm a very good fighter. I don't do Muay Thai, Kung Fu, and box for no reason.
Makes us very nervous if he comes back, but it's definitely a possibility.
Bring him home.
If he comes back, we set up an interview between just Ben and Tommy.
Oh, yeah.
I want nothing to do with it. It's just you and Tommy, okay? Will you commit to that?
Sure.
All right. Oh, my God. I can't wait. AJ, if you're listening, I'll chip in just for the bit. Just Ben and Tommy in a room.
All right. We've got the playoff projections for the upcoming season after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Pretty uneventful ride on our roads, guys, but we'll take it. Yeah, no complaints here. Just starting to see a lot of the usual slowing in the usual spots. We're looking right at you, westbound 52, heading out of Santee. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, this hour on Ben and Woods brought to you by Staples. Your local Staples has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store and everything for your business. And right now at Staples, save up to $250 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 4/5. Plus, save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples. All right, I don't know how much you can make of these projections. Obviously, sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong, but Baseball Prospectus does their Pacoda projections for teams and players each year, and yesterday they released actual playoff chances for all the contenders. And right now they have the Padres finishing with just 82.5 wins. That's pretty far under what their Vegas over-under number is, which was, 86.5 that we talked about earlier this week. And finishing third in the NL West with a 37.5% chance of making the playoffs.
Now, I don't know enough about all of the analytics that go into these projections, but I'm assuming that's based on the roster as it currently stands.
Correct.
Right?
Yes,
So
correct.
83 wins without a left fielder, questions at catcher, questions at first base,
Questions
no
at
bench,
DH, yeah.
2 starting pitchers. Yeah, 83
3
wins actually feels pretty good.
Yeah. 38.
Needing 2 starting pitchers.
Oh, needing 2 starting pitchers. Well, I tweeted it yesterday with just one word, wow. And the wow wasn't for the 38% for the San Diego Padres. It was the 100% for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, I feel that. I do. I feel they have a 100% chance.
Not 99.9.
I feel like they have a 100% chance. In fact,
So they simulate the seasons out.
Yeah.
And, how many times does each team make the playoffs out of, 1,000, 10,000?
they made it 100 times.
They made it every single time.
Based on what they have.
There was
And-
no simulated season in which the Dodgers had so much go wrong that they actually missed the playoffs.
Correct. And I hearken back to the San Diego Padres of 2023, and I wonder what the Pagoda projections were for that team.
Cancel the parade. That's why you play the games.
Had to be about 90-something% based on what they had. And they didn't. They didn't. So we know it can happen. But 100% to me felt very brazen. It felt
technically
not even 99.9.
No, it felt very
technically
brazen.
Something that is 100% will happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
It can't not happen.
Right.
So the Dodgers are already in the playoffs.
They're in the playoffs.
They clinched their
They
playoff
clinched.
spot.
They clinched
'Cause
maybe
it's
even the
100%.
West. Yeah, maybe.
That's what you're trying to get to 100% chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's the goal. Once your magic number hits 0, mathematically you're at 100%. But right now they're telling us that the Dodgers at 0-0 are at 100% to make the playoffs this year.
It blew my mind. And so I saw yesterday Miggy Rojas, 7 Mile Casino fanatic, by the way, just 7 minutes from downtown. He was on with Chris Rose, and they asked him about the single-season win record, which is, I believe, 116 by Paulie's Seattle Mariners.
They tied the Cubs, I think.
Okay, so the 116 is the number. And Chris Rose said, do you guys think that you're going to beat that? He goes, we don't think it. We expect it.
Oh.
Their expectation is to beat 116 regular season wins. Can they do it? Sure. Have teams been blown way out of proportion before? Yes. Has that very team been blown way out of proportion before? 1,000%. Best team ever. They had them on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Lost in the playoffs. Lost to the Diamondbacks. Lost to the Padres in the playoffs. Baseball's weird, but that doesn't take it. This isn't saying win the World Series. This is saying make the playoffs. And it is still I know there's a balanced schedule now, but it's still a very brazen prediction based on what all the teams in the West look like, Ben, except for the Rockies.
Well, Pagoda has them at 103.8 wins, which is a really high number for Pagoda projections. Think about that. Even if they're off by 15 wins and they only win 89, which would be an incredibly missed prediction, still probably enough to make the playoffs.
Correct.
The Dodgers, so they're first. And then the Padres, actually, as you go through the rest of the National League, they are the 7th most likely team to make the playoffs.
And there's 6 teams that make it.
6 playoff teams. It's really the Diamondbacks that they look at as being the main competition. In fact, the Diamondbacks have a 62% chance. Padres have a 38%. So just add them together.
That's 100.
You have one playoff team. And right now, you kind of think, hey, if you can finish ahead of the Diamondbacks, you'll probably make the playoffs. If you don't, then you'll probably miss the playoffs. So that's the team that now I have my, sights set on, circled. Like I'll be watching them more closely in the standings than I really care what the Dodgers are doing.
For sure.
It's really the Diamondbacks. The Giants are even below both of them, but I'm sure they'd like to. I was surprised the Reds. I thought, they're making a push. They were only at like
5%.
5% to make the playoffs.
Okay.
But the Cubs were all of a sudden
Cubs are
like
87%.
87%.
That I feel is a little bit too high, but it's based on the division they play in as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
For what it's worth, I went back and I found last year's Pagoda rankings. Early February 2024. Again, a lot of moves still needed to be made by the Padres at this time last year. They had them in 4th place, 79.7 wins, 82.3 losses, a 24% chance to make the playoffs.
They're projected to be better this year than last year.
Wild.
With the way the roster is currently
Well,
constructed.
we didn't have a lot of guys
True.
at that time last year. We don't have a lot of guys now either.
Which is a point that, the AJ has made. Like, hey, we're not a final team yet.
Yeah.
All right, we got a little maybe early DDT coming up next involving MLB. Stick around. Ben Woods. All right, Wesley in our chat. Paulie went back to the 2024 Pacoda projections. Here's your 2023. 92.9 wins, 88% chance to make the playoffs for the Padres. So they beat the odds. 12% odds to miss the playoffs in 2023. Last year, they beat the odds the other way and made the playoffs. So I guess all that we know about the Padres is that we know nothing about the Padres.
Correct.
At the start of every season.
Correct. Do you believe in the odd and even thing? And like it was with the Giants for many years.
Yeah, they did have the every other year thing. Padres are kind of building, not to the extent of the Giants, but a bit of an every other year, having a success versus a disappointment.
If you're the Giants, you don't care because it meant a World Series every other year. For the Padres, you're praying that's not true.
Yeah, correct. I don't know. I as I sit today, somebody asked me the other day. I got a DM from his name is Trevor. He goes, "Hey, it's just me and you talking here. Don't give me the radio Woods take on where the Padres will finish. Give me the private Twitter DM." And I go, 81 wins? I'm going with my normal 81 and 81. Why would I go any different? You know, what are they projected? 83 and a half? But 81 and 81 is a safe bet. I'm not dumb enough to come in here and tell you, they're set to win 90, 93 games right now. I think
that's Pacoda with just what they have on the roster right now. I think any human that's paid attention would know that this is not the roster that you're going to see on opening day, which is why like Vegas, who takes that element kind of into consideration, what did they have them at? 87 and a half, 86 and a half?
Yeah.
Ben says Ben in the chat, Ben says it's embarrassing to hear people cite the terrible 2023 season as a way to convince themselves the Dodgers won't have an amazing season. I don't project at all, and neither does Pacoda, because they gave him a 100% chance to make the playoffs. I do think you'd be delusional to think that team will fall off of the map based on the depth that they have. I was reading something yesterday. They showed some video of Shohei throwing, and he's gearing up to be able to pitch in 2025. But they do not need him to pitch in 2025 at all. They really don't. I mean, they're pretty set right now. I know they're going to be very careful with Roki as well.
What makes you think, even if the Dodgers, what would be a rough start to the season if they were only 10 games above 500 at the All-Star break?
Like a rough start for them would be 10 games over at the break.
And if somebody drops off, all they do is just go and put together a ridiculous package and they trade for Paul Skeens.
Right, exactly. Like, something insane.
What are we worried about there?
Yeah. I do, I think 100%, as much as you don't want to read it, I think it's pretty accurate. Again,
I agree.
I think you roll out of bed and you win, you make the playoffs.
Yeah, and I'm not just saying that to, soften the blow when it does happen, but that's a fair statement. There's no way the Dodgers can miss the playoffs. And I'm not trying to tempt fate or like, the gods are going to strike them down. No. They're not. They'll be in the playoffs at the end of the season.
Yeah,
it's 100% sure.
There's no question. Now, once that page turns, that's a different story altogether. As they know very well, as we know very well, as many, many teams know very well. The Baltimore Orioles know it very well. You've had hot teams getting into the playoffs, fizzling out like the Phillies after the first two rounds. I mean, did anybody think that the Phillies weren't going to win the World Series that one year? And then the Diamondbacks come in and completely shut them out. I must have lost $500 on that series because I was like, there's no way Phillies are going to stay cold. They were cold one game. They ain't staying cold again. They're too good.
Similar to what happened to the Padres last year.
Yeah.
The Padres looked like they were rolling, and then all of a sudden it just stopped. Just like it did for the Phillies. Yeah.
The doorstop comes in, and it just stops, and it's just very, very weird.
All right, little, early don't do this. We'll get to our regular segment coming up, but there was some big news in baseball yesterday. The announcement that they had officially fired umpire Pat Hoberg, and you'll remember he was placed on leave last year after an investigation into some online sports betting. Well, they released some of the details, and I kind of had an evolving process. When I heard the first details, I was going, man, we know this guy's a really good umpire. He had a perfect,
one of the best,
perfect game behind the plate in the World Series. And baseball, totally said, yeah, he didn't bet on baseball. We looked into it. There really was no red flags in terms of anything he did wrong. He didn't change the outcomes of games. It doesn't look like he's done anything underhanded. But he did have a shared account on a gambling website in which a friend of his bet on a couple of baseball games.
A lot of baseball games.
Yeah, well, didn't even win on the baseball games according to the ones that he bet.
I heard it was like, it's Bob Nightingale.
I thought it was 6. He bet on 6 baseball games.
If that's it, I heard, because I saw Bob Nightingale tweet that said $700,000 in gambling. Now, maybe it wasn't all on baseball, but it was kind of, he was kind of gambling adjacent. But I think what got him, Ben, is he started deleting messages that were material to the investigation. And when that happens, you're covering something up. Somebody did make the point yesterday. I think it was not Gaetti. He was such a great follow on Twitter. He said it's weird. Pat Hoberg is consistently one of the best umpires, and then he'll all of a sudden randomly have a clunker in a one-run game. And it showed like the ump scorecard where he was like 83%, right? And again, everyone's entitled to a bad day. Shohei Ohtani will go 0 for 5 sometimes. There's no correlation, by the way, between Shohei Ohtani's alleged gambling and Pat Hoberg's alleged gambling. I'm just using Shohei as a benchmark for one of the best hitters. It does happen. Happens to the best of them. So, but they weren't messing around with this. They found something in there that led them to say, yeah, we're not going to suspend you. We're going to fire you.
All right, so if there were 8 bets involving 5 games that Hoberg actually umpired, but no evidence that Hoberg took any action to manipulate the outcome of the games. A detailed analysis did not reveal any pattern to indicate Hoberg's calls were influenced by bets being made. So, my first thought was, all right, they've come down way less on people for doing way worse stuff in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
PED suspensions and stuff. This seems fairly innocuous. But as I started to get through it, it just it kind of got weird in my mind. I mean, who shares an online gambling account?
A guy that's not allowed to have a gambling account.
Right.
So that's who does that.
And you are allowed to. Umpires are allowed to bet.
Just not on baseball.
Just not on baseball. And, most of the bets were not on baseball. But there were these bets that he said was replaced by his friend's account, that was shared, that were on baseball. And honestly, he should have known better.
Yeah, you should have known better.
He should have known better. And
it's not really a gray area, Pat. It's not. They try to make this.
He thought he had a loophole.
He thought he found a loophole.
But if you have to go through all these hoops, bro, you probably just shouldn't be doing that.
Well, and again, if you can open your own online gambling account, Underdog perhaps, and you can bet higher or lower on things, you just have to make sure you don't do it on baseball. You can do it on college football. You can do it on the NFL. You can do it on golf, whatever. And he did say this in his statement. He said, I take full responsibility for the errors in judgment. Those errors will always be a source of shame and embarrassment to me. We are held to a high standard of personal conduct. My own conduct fell short. That said, to be clear, I have never and never would bet on baseball in any way, shape, or form. I've never provided and would never provide information to anyone for the purpose of betting on baseball. Upholding the integrity of the game has always been of the utmost importance to me. It's hysterical because he is like the best umpire in baseball. And now he's out of a job, and we're left with Laz Diaz. We're left with Doug Eddings. Why couldn't those guys have shared an account with someone?
Yeah, my gut feeling is he's telling the truth, but it doesn't matter. You have to even eliminate any possibility of suspicion or taint. It's not just that they don't want him betting on baseball. They don't even want it to look like that. Appearances matter when it comes to officiating on sports at the highest level. Appearances matter. And this was a black mark that baseball just could not stand.
Here's what he says as it pertains to deleting some things. He said he deleted the messages simply because he was embarrassed by the frequency and the volume of his legal non-baseball betting activity.
I can see that.
I can see that 100%. I don't want my wife to see the volume, right? It's not the amount. It's the volume. It's really, like in baseball season, I've bet on every game that's happening. Like I literally have. I've done parlays and everything else for $10. It's not the amount. It's the volume where you're like, are you insane? Are you legitimately insane?
Is this like a full-time job?
Yeah, is this like a full-time job? You couldn't bathe the kids last night. Now I know what you were doing. So that does kind of make sense
and,
to me.
I mean, who knows? You're an umpire sitting at airports all
you're
day.
On a plane, you're
just
waiting for a game.
Waiting for something to happen. It passes the time, and you probably end up placing a lot of bets. And again, it would have been okay as long as those bets were not on baseball.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, for Major League Baseball, Benny, there were enough baseball-adjacent, baseball and Pat Hoberg together adjacent bets that was enough to make him lose his job. He can't appeal. He was fired on May 31st. He appealed the process, leading to Monday's decision. So there's no evidence he bet on baseball or manipulated the games in any way. The extremely poor judgment in sharing betting accounts with a professional poker player. He had reason to believe he bet on baseball, who did in fact bet on baseball from the shared account.
Cole in our account, in our chat, says, I have a feeling with all these betting sites that there's going to be a huge scandal, bigger than the Black Sox, bigger than Rose, and it'll ruin sports. I'll say what I said last week. I believe that the proliferation of all these sites has actually made it easier just to catch the people who are not supposed to be gambling. It actually provides so much more evidence and a trail that we're seeing more people caught. But the gambling was always going on, and it was just very hard to find when it was done with illegal bookies. It was done with cash transactions, and envelopes and stuff. You'd never be able to trace the gambling that used to go on. Now they can actually stop people from doing it.
It's online. There's a paper trail. Used to, it was, hey man, give me $100 on the Mets. Give me $100 on the Reds. Give me $100 on the Yankees. Give me $100 on the Padres, and we'll settle up tomorrow. And that's it. There's no trail of that. I mean, you write it down, but that's it. If they didn't find that, you're in the clear. Now it's put in your name, put in your birth date. What do? Take a picture of your ID and scan it. Send it over. Give us your bank account. I mean, they've got you dead to rights. So if you get caught doing this on your sport, you're one of the dumbest guys on the planet. You're one of the dumbest guys on the planet. There's no reason to do it. Unless, as we talked about with the guy in the NBA, why you may see something like that, Ben, is someone getting in trouble with the person that we just mentioned. The guy that does still take the bets over the phone. The guy that does run a huge illegal offshore account. You get in over your head with him, then he says, well, I've got you now. Now you can manipulate games for me. That's when you're toast. That's always happened. That will always happen. I mean, I think there's not going to be any big online scandal where you bust some of the biggest players for daily fantasy. I don't think that's going to happen. But gambling has always happened. And somebody in the chat said, so how come umps can bet on sports outside of baseball, but players and other staff can't? They can, right?
I believe they can.
I'm almost positive that Manny Machado, if he wanted to, could sign up to Underdog today, as long as he didn't bet on baseball. Manny, use the promo code WOODS when you sign in to Underdog.
Ohtani, want to put some money on the Super Bowl? Go for it.
Yeah.
All right, we will continue our DDT discussion. I actually have do this. One of our local golfers trying to make positive changes in the sport. Love to talk about that coming up. First, Woods, let's talk about trust and will. It's a way to make sure that your family is taken care of after you're gone. And it's something that none of us really wants to think about. We both avoided it for years and years.
I was just lazy.
Well, I was lazy.
That's
part of it as well.
It.
But this also helps you overcome that because it's really easy. You don't have to get out of your chair. Just answer some questions online, and it handles the whole process for you.
Yeah, I didn't have to go to some dusty attorney's office and sit in there for hours and hours. I did it online, took 20 minutes. Creating a will ensures your wishes are followed, not the state's. Protect your legacy by taking control with a will and keep your family out of probate court with a trust. You have to have the trust because even with a will, you'll have to go to probate. So make sure you get the trust as well. It's very expensive. It can drag out for years.
Yeah, the trust can also help you avoid reassessment on property taxes.
Yes.
You put your house in a trust, it'll still be valued whatever you bought it at. You could save thousands of dollars every year for your family in property taxes. So take the easy steps by going to trustandwill.com. And when you do, use the checkout code San Diego, all one word, and you'll get 10% off your legal documents and free shipping as well. Again, go to trustandwill.com. Get that peace of mind for you and your family at trustandwill.com. Don't Do This is brought to you
Get
by...
out of here. We're trying to do a show. God. I mean, we're just right in the middle of a radio show here, and walks in, pokes his head in. Hey. I'm joking. I asked him to sit down and hang out.
Just hanging him out to dry.
I said, come in and hang out, man.
He just came in to say
hi,
hello, good morning, and you're like, hey, you want to hang out with us in here for a few minutes?
He said no.
He said no. I got to
Then on the air, you make him look
Did
bad.
I make him look bad? I told you, the embargo's over. It's time to make fun of Clue.
True. Don't Do This is brought to you by Trust and Will. Don't leave your entire estate, house, kids, and life savings up to chance if and when you die. Do set up a trust or will online at trustandwill.com. It's a lot more affordable than you think. Visit trustandwill.com for more info. All right, I will start with a story from the National Hockey League where Minnesota Wild forward Ryan Hartman was suspended 10 games yesterday. So here's what he did over the weekend. He was in a face-off against Ottawa Senators forward Tim Stützle. Now, you know, in hockey or in lacrosse, when you get to the face-off, both guys are leaning in, you know, ready to, you know, steal the puck as soon as it's dropped. Well,
jockeying for position.
Yeah, jockeying for position. But they got, you know, their heads are looking down at the ice, so they're both looking straight down. Ryan Hartman didn't really have that much interest in the puck. He was just interested in slamming Tim Stützle's head into the ice. Okay. So as soon as the referee dropped the puck, took his forearm right above his neck and just went boom, and just knocked him straight face down into the ice.
That hurts.
Now, Stützle, I was just looking at the video again. He got up, skated off. You know, it's like, he's a hockey player.
He would have been writhing on the ground for a month.
I don't know how many teeth he lost, but he just got up and continued to play. But the NHL and Commissioner Gary Bettman having none of it and have suspended Ryan Hartman for 10 games for using his forearm to violently slam the head of Tim Stützle into the ice.
10 games.
He locked up his stick with his leg, placed his right forearm on the back of his neck, and drove his head into the ice.
Well, what'd he do?
Stützle's helmet came off on impact, skated to the Senators' bench with a cut bleeding over his left eye.
Hockey is so gnarly. And think about how much gnarlier it used to be. How bad it used.
I didn't even wear helmets.
Ben, I've said it before. You guys know I'm the weirdest person alive. I don't watch NHL hockey in the year 2025. I don't have a team. If we had a hockey team here, I'd be all about it. NHL team. Don't come for me. But I love old hockey documentaries. They're my favorite. And I watched one on the Philadelphia Flyers. And the Broad Street Bullies. I've never seen anything like it. They just started drafting guys that were like, I don't care. Like, I'll just kill him. I'll just kill him with my bare hands. They had a whole team. When you came to play the Flyers, you're like, people would hyperventilate. And they said we would stay up all night. You'd lay in your bed at night and go, I'm dead tomorrow. I'm going to the game tomorrow. I'm going to get my ass kicked from the minute the puck drops to the minute it's over. I'm going to leave there battered, broken, bruised.
Doesn't sound fun, though.
No, but if you're on the Flyers and you're like, this is who we are, it's pretty cool. But the way that it used to be, and you're talking, guys skating around with no helmet, and you are going to make a pass, and you turn to your left, and there's a guy there, and he just lays you out into the boards. I mean, they spent the equivalent of like a year in the penalty box the year they won the Stanley Cup. It's the coolest documentary ever. It's all grainy. You have to watch it on YouTube, but it's called The Broad Street Bullies. It's truly one of the best things I've ever seen. Now, I don't even know that I would hearken back and be like, that's how hockey should be. Right. I don't think you'd want to see that on a nightly basis. It's like you can't watch the MMA on skates every single night. But it's crazy. Now, you see something like that gets you a 10-gamer.
Yep.
That's 10 games now.
That's a lot.
In the NHL. That's a ton. That's an eighth of your season, essentially, which is nuts. All right, I will go to... Look, I do have some sympathy for... we were talking about it yesterday or this morning. I have some sympathy for Nepo babies. I do. I'm not one myself.
Most people have disdain for them.
I do have sympathy for them. I absolutely do have sympathy for them. I don't know why you would hate somebody that is, just all they did was be born. I can't help my dad's famous. I can't help my mom's famous.
Well, I guess it always matters. What did you do with it?
What did you do with it, right? And I think it would be very hard to be in the shadow of some certain people. Michael Jordan is near the top of that list. And Marcus Jordan, his son, Thrown behind bars on Monday, Ben committed a series of serious crimes. He was arrested and booked in the Orange County Jail in Orlando, Florida for DUI, cocaine possession, and resisting arrest. According to police records, he also posed for a mugshot. Doesn't look too happy to be there. As to what led up with his brush with the law, they're trying to gather details. They've reached out to police, but he was arrested for all of those things. Now, a few months ago, I remember he was at a restaurant. I don't remember where. I think he was in Europe. And somebody got him on video, like, huffing a little line off the table. And people were like, let the guy live. He's in Europe. He's on vacation. So apparently there is potentially a drug problem, an alcohol problem. Hopefully he gets the help he needs. And luckily he didn't hurt anyone in the process other than himself.
Jackson says, my favorite Nepo baby is obviously Chet Hanks.
There's no better Nepo baby.
Yo, Josh, what up, man? It's Chet Hanks. This is from your boy, Doug. Doug. Told me you're turning 43, bro. And I just wanted to say, big up your bomba class here for us 43 years around the world.
Doug.
John O'Star.
Doug.
I heard you won an Oscar for a animated movie. Look, man, I do voice acting too. Maybe create some sort of Rasta character.
Yeah.
A cartoon. I got other accents too. Cockney. Oh, I love. I don't love you. Man, I could do a bunch of accents.
Right,
bro.
yeah. I believe
you
it.
name it. I'll get it done. We can create a cartoon
all
character.
Rasta.
Put me in your next movie, bro. I'm dead ass serious about that. Anyway, have a great 43rd birthday, bro, and congratulations. More life.
We have to get a Ben Woods cameo from him. How much does he charge? I would like it, Paulie. I'd like it by Friday.
I mean,
if
I'm
possible.
sure he's trading on the name Hanks. Quite
fine. Whatever he
I'll
charges,
pay
whatever. Take it out of the show.
No, he's not
fund.
available right now.
No! How we missed our window.
Keep your eyes open.
Keep our eyes open.
All right, finally, a little do this.
I'm dead ass serious.
And I like to see this yesterday. So, obviously, the PGA Tour has been dealing with the problem of slow play, really for a long time, but it's become even more of an issue as attention spans get shorter and things like the Tomorrow Golf League gets started. Like, people want, faster action, and golf seems to be getting slower and slower. 5.5-hour rounds. Torrey Pines was tough this weekend at Pebble with the weather. Slow play. Someone's trying to do something about it. Our own Charlie Hoffman, San Diegan, wrote a letter to his fellow PGA Tour players. He's a fairly influential elder statesman
100%.
now of the game. He's been on various, advisory boards and players' councils over the years. And here's what he said. It was posted by Golf Magazine over the weekend. We've taken a lot of heat over the past few weeks about slow play, and yeah, it's an issue for our fans, for us as players. Cutting down field sizes will help, but only by a few minutes per day. As players, we need to make a concerted effort to speed up. Pace of play has been a challenge my entire 20 years on tour, and it was an issue 20 years before that. And he goes, yeah, golf's a tough game. When conditions get extreme, it takes time to play it the right way, but we all need to take responsibility. Be ready when it's our turn to play, and have the awareness to realize when we're out of position and we need to speed up even before a rules official shows up. And I think Charlie's right on the mark here. Sometimes it's easier, or the message is heard a little bit better when it comes from a peer as opposed to commissioners just, is on our butts trying to speed us up. We're just trying to, make money. We just want to hit the right shots. But when another player says it, I feel like it carries more weight. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah,
Like if I said something to you, it would carry more weight than if Adam tried to tell you.
Always.
Right.
100% of the time. Nate said Ello had a great idea. 10-second clock to be silent. Then when that 10 seconds up, everyone can start to yell and heckle. I promise you they will fire those. They will get those shots off.
It's funny. The quiet golf is not as quiet as it used to be.
It's not.
Like even on the 18th green, I was there for the the award ceremony, the final shots. No one really got quiet until the last tap in. Like everyone's talking, they're drinking, they're chatting. No one stops their conversation.
Does it make you uncomfortable?
Anymore. I think it's easier. I think if I was a golfer,
you'd want some.
I'd hate when everything is then it just gets silent all
doubt.
at the last second, right before I'm about to play.
Not even be able to bring out a cell phone.
Yeah, that would. Now it's like do what you want.
Well,
talk,
Waste Management's
chat,
this
whatever.
week, so which is insane.
Yeah, that more tournaments have become more like the Waste Management Open in Phoenix.
Yeah,
and that is don't and do this for a Tuesday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
When we come back, Woods, I want to talk about the guy who broke the news about Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis and what really goes into being a world-class insider.
You going to interview me?
Yeah, I'm going to ask you.
All right, ask me.
What the exact opposite of that feeling is. Coming up next.
All right, my friends, if you're a homeowner and you live right here, don't go through another year with all the high interest debt you've accrued. Let Loan Pronto wipe it out for you. Loan Pronto's rapid equity loan makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle the 2025 home improvement project. Got some ideas at the house of things we want to make the move on. So we got to get cash in your pocket fast. No appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. Loan Pronto's AI-driven technology gets you approved and funded in as little as one day. One client got $150,000 approved in under 24 hours, paid off their credit cards, 2 cars, and a personal loan, saving over $1,500 a month. Low fixed rates, lightning fast transfers. You can do it too. Consolidate your debt, improve your home, take control of your finances, and be credit card debt-free by this time next week. So don't wait. Call Loan Pronto now, 619-207-4336, or go to loanpronto.com. Get your free rate quote with no hard credit pull, 619-207-4336, or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval, NMLS consumeraccess.org.
Found this piece in Sports Illustrated from Jimmy Traina, who's their media writer. Absolutely fascinating. And I think maybe it's just because I'm in this business, but I feel like the emotions will resonate with anybody in the audience. And it's about Shams Charania.
Yeah.
And breaking the Luka Doncic, Anthony Davis trade news. And I was like mesmerized reading this piece last night when it dropped on their website. We'll get to that coming up. First, this segment of Ben and Woods is brought to you by Robert Half. 9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is here to help. They're recruiting professionals utilizing award-winning AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today. So you always wonder, how does it really work? You know, when it's Passan versus Rosenthal versus John Heyman, you get the idea that, you're connected with the various general managers and executives, and someone gets a text, and then it's a race to their, Twitter feed to just get it out as quickly as possible. Because then usually you see, like 3 minutes later, I can confirm that trade or that signing as first reported by Jeff Passan or as first reported by Ken Rosenthal.
I always think about like guys that work for the same company, like let's say Jesse Rogers, who's a very well-connected insider for ESPN, and then Jeff Passan. Does Jesse Rogers ever get a scoop and seniority says he has to give it over to Jeff Passan?
Possible.
First?
It's possible there's some of that.
If Jeff is out sick, he is allowed to run with it. If he's at work and working, he is not allowed to run with it.
So
I get the first customer through the door, buddy.
That's right.
This one was different, though. It wasn't as though everyone confirmed it 2 minutes later. Everyone was texting Shams going, you got hacked, dude.
Yeah, you're full of it.
No one had any idea this was coming. This came as huge news to executives in the NBA, top-level media. Everybody was just caught absolutely floored. So Jimmy Traina asked him some questions just about it. And he said, well, what was the feeling when you just hit send on that tweet? No, you were about to upend like the world. Yeah. Not just the basketball world, but you're about to drop the biggest trade news in the sports history.
Yeah.
And here's what he said. The adrenaline rush in just the craziest way. Me, myself, in a lot of ways, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the game. I'm a fan of the NBA first. I was probably just as floored as all the audience was and everyone around the league when I got wind of it about 5 minutes before I hit send.
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
I got put that together.
I got wind that it was done, and then you go into your mode of, is this real? Is this really happening? You try to confirm with a few more people, and even then, I was still in a state of shock. But the job is to report the news, and you do it accurately. Once I got 3, 4, 5 confirmations, I obviously ran with it. But the time from when I heard it to when I tweeted it, it was 5 minutes. And that 5 minutes was used to triple, quadruple, quintuple verify it. I think these guys really, they do care. None of them want to be wrong. Almost all of them have had at least one moment where they sent something too soon or it turned out not to be true. But for the most part, they are really trying hard to make sure that they don't get caught making a huge blunder. And on a story of this magnitude, I could see why he was so...
career ender, I think.
Yeah, so nervous. I'm going to look so bad if this is wrong.
I saw Ken Rosenthal botch one earlier in the week, and it was, Tommy Kane... I think it was like Tommy Canely to the Mets, and then 10 seconds later, I'm sorry, Tommy Canely to the Tigers, right? So that's not going to end a guy's career. But announcing a trade like this, Shams got in some hot water with Jimmy Butler's agent, like right when he got this gig, right? He tweeted, Jimmy Butler is looking for a trade. Jimmy Butler's agent went nuts on Twitter. Jimmy Butler walks out and doesn't even play for the Heat at all now. He's suspended. So Shams was right, but he took a tremendous amount of online blowback. Now, the thing is, with all of this stuff, Benny, I find it as fascinating as you do. But the thing that's interesting is there's really no repercussion. Bob Nightingale he gets like 2 out of 10 right. John Morosi, John Heyman, they get about 4 out of 10 right. Passan's about 10 out of 10 right. But they get blowback online for a day and then people forget it. If you can stomach the online blowback from being wrong on some of these, at least major baseball deals, but this one really feels like it would have ruined him forever.
So, and that's why he was like churning, and Jimmy Traina asked him about, what are the what are the emotions in those 5 minutes before you hit send? And he goes, well, there's every emotion you can think of. There's anxiety. There's nervousness. There's being scared. There's being floored, stunned. He said, I had gotten wind a few days prior that these two teams might be talking, but you never think it's around Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis. In today's world and society and sports, everything is rumored, everything ideated by everyone. So for this to happen really bang, bang the way it did, obviously Rob Pelinka and Nico Harrison did an amazing job keeping this tight-lipped.
Yeah.
There just wasn't any smoke at all that something was going down. And then what happened after, like in the immediate aftermath, he said, well, after I hit send, I don't know what was going on with my phone. I had an overload of calls. I was getting an overload of text messages. I try to read all my messages. I try to have 0 unread messages. I think at one point it was close to 300 unread and a bunch of calls. I couldn't get back to everyone. Obviously, I never had that happen before. Everyone was trying to figure out if this was real. Did you get hacked? He said, I got back to a few people. Breaking the trade is one thing, but the follow-up is the details, the what, the why, the how. That's what my attention turned to. It's not about verifying if my Twitter got hacked. Once you break it, then you get the terms, you go from there.
Also, I don't know where Shams is based out of, and I don't know if he was on the road or not, but that happened at, what was it, 9?
It was
after 9 p.m.
I think he's East Coast because it was just after midnight East Coast time, where he was.
So middle of the night, all night long.
No, he's Central time, so it was like, it was 11:15. He said he didn't get to bed until 5:45. Oh, and then he had to get up at 7:15 because he had a 7 a.m. Sports Center hit. So 30 minutes of sleep after that, and then on to television.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's like a drug.
That's the story. I mean, and the bummer for him is ain't going to get any better than that.
No, that's true.
That's you've
in
kind
terms of
first
breaking
season
news
on ESPN as their main insider.
Yeah,
and
he breaks that
story.
Like, hey, you ran up to the top of Everest, and you're there, and you're like, well,
justifies whatever he's getting paid by ESPN.
No doubt,
that's for sure.
And now you're under it's like making your first album, and it's 12 hits. And they're all bangers, and it sells double platinum. What do you do from there?
Well,
you know?
and the crazy thing, and I didn't even realize this until recently, is Shams is only 30 years old.
30 years
old.
So
he has now established himself for, I mean, how long do some of these insiders last? For the next 40 years, if he wants, as the premier NBA breaking news guy. Like, he's the guy for as long as he wants it, decades to come. It'll be, the year 2058, and there'll be a big trade. LeBron, James the Fifth is being traded, and Shams could be the one breaking that news because he has established himself now as he's the guy forever because of this breaking story.
Now, he didn't say where he got it, right?
He
did confirm it with 5 separate people. So once he gets wind of it...
I'm surprised there were 5 separate people that even knew about it at that
So
point.
it's funny, man. We were talking yesterday about Xander Bogaerts' smoke that was, around, and I got a DM from a guy in Boston that I know, and he'd heard this, and, and I, for one split second, I did feel like, all right, why shouldn't I text AJ Preller and say, hey, just got a DM about this. Any truth to these rumors? Not knowing if he'd respond or not. My guess is morning. My guess is that it would be 98% chance he's not going to respond to that, right? Because that's what it is. It's just smoke. There may have been conversations. There may not have been. He's probably not going to tell me.
Why
should I do that, though? Should I be doing that more? I'm not a reporter. I'm not a newsbreaker. Should I, if I hear something, do I text him with every little rumor I hear and go, care to comment?
So
here's
my thinking. Why would he respond?
Correct. There's no reason to.
Because he knows you're not going to run with it.
As a done deal.
Right. So unless he has a reason, a strategic interest to answer you, he's not going to say anything. Now, if he knows that you've got enough sources that you're going to go to 2 other people and confirm it and report it without him, it may be in his interest then to either confirm it or deny it to you before, more details that he doesn't want out get, framed in the wrong way. And
we don't have that kind of relationship,
you don't.
Though. I mean, there are people in this town that do with him, and they do that. I don't do it. I could, but I don't.
That's why... obviously executives in all sports deal with insiders. It's not that they pick favorites and they decide, I'm going to feed this guy.
The definition of picking favorites.
Well, it is, but they don't have a choice in the matter because they know that, these good insiders, if they don't get it from me, they're going to get it from the player's agent, or they're going to get it from the other general manager. Yeah. And they know, well, I don't want those people framing the story. I want to be able to kind of frame it from my perspective, which puts the pressure on them to then respond to the big name insiders before everybody else does and takes control of the story from, yeah, I did trade this guy. It's about to come out, and here's why I did it. Here's our thinking behind it. They want to get out in front of the story.
But see, AJ's not worried about me getting on the air yesterday and saying, Padres are going to move Xander Bogaerts, right? So Brandon says, I'd say yes, do it more. You said you're not a reporter, but you're on the radio on the flagship. You have a good working relationship with him on the radio. Can't hurt. I told you guys the story when he told me he wanted to go get Francisco Lindor. He told me to my face. This is years ago. And I legitimately thought it was a test. I thought he was testing me to see, is he going to run to the radio and be like, oh, wait till you see who we get. You know, Cleveland Guardians, Indians at the time, shortstop Francisco Lindor.
And he did not.
I did not.
What did he learn, though? Did he learn that he can trust you? Or did he learn
that I fail?
That you are not someone that he can use to pass along information?
To run with that.
How in the world is anyone supposed to know?
Don't know.
I'm damned if I do. I'm damned. Imagine if I ran with it, and then he comes in and kicks the door into that little room we were in at Spring Training. He's like, hey, moron. I told you that in confidence, and then I'm done.
The next day he walks by and gives you a wink.
I probably quit that day if he comes in and chews me out. Yeah. So it's interesting. It's really interesting how this all works. It's CIA levels of misinformation and disinformation and who runs with what.
I mean, I bet he was interested in Lindor. He's the exact kind of player that AJ loves.
There's no question. There's no, like, when he said it to me, I believed him. And I went, oh, God, okay.
Now, was there ever a realistic path to landing him? Maybe not. But I have no doubt that he was very intrigued.
His quote was, I said, man, what a monster. I don't remember what year it was, but I said, what a monster offseason so far. And he goes, yeah, wait till I get Frankie Lindor.
I believe it was 2020.
And I went, what? And I ran into the room, and I told you guys, and I was like, should I say anything? No, I'm not going to say anything.
You were talking about just the group of guys.
Yeah, good group of guys.
This looks like a fun team, and the energy.
A lot of swag, yep.
The confidence, all that. Just wait till I get Lindor.
Yeah, wait till I get Frankie Lindor. He looks me right in the eye. I was like, okay. So I don't know. I don't know if I
he's also a bit of a trash talker.
That's true.
You know, that's part of his persona as well. Wow.
Yeah, it's a tough gig, man. Not a gig that I think I would want. I mean, if he gets that one wrong, he's a laughing stock at 30 years old. He's like, if he boots that and butchers it and it's all wrong and people are denying it, he's a laughing stock in the game.
Speaking of the Padres, had a nice farewell message yesterday from a fan favorite. We can get to that after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Slowing into Hillcrest, south on 163, a crash blocking lanes right before Washington Street. Tow truck is on scene helping to clear that. Also, northbound side of the 5, right before the 15, there is a collision involving a couple vehicles, one facing the wrong way, partially in the slow lane. Traveling on northbound 15, just before University, we have reports of some metal debris in middle lanes. Also, southbound side of the 5 at the 56 bypass, reports of a stalled vehicle partially in lanes and collision in the North County, southbound 15. This is right before El Norte Parkway. Several vehicles involved. They're all over the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
The Slam Dunk in Vegas National Contest is your chance at the ultimate trip to Las Vegas. All you have to do is download the Odyssey app, log in, and listen to 97.3 The Fan for at least 1 hour to earn your daily entry into our national contest. The grand prize, travel and accommodations for a winner and 3 guests to Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas's premier sports viewing destination, where you can watch the biggest March Hoops party at Stadium Swim, plus $20,000 in cash. Yeah, as they finalized and officially announced the deal in Tampa Bay for Hwang Kim, $29 million, 2 years, opt out after the first year. Hwang Kim posted on his Instagram account last night a nice message in both Korean and English. Woods, I'll let you read the Korean. I'll do the English translation.
Korean. Okay.
He said, "Hello, this is Hwang Kim. During the 4 years I spent in San Diego, I made unforgettable and precious memories that will last me last with me forever. Ever since I came over to the big leagues.
What are the big leagues?
Ever since I first came over to the big leagues, it was truly an honor. I think it doesn't read quite as smoothly because
I wouldn't blame him. I would blame you.
I'm blaming the Google translation. Or
does it say
was.
big leagues in there?
Ever
if
since
it does,
I
I'll
first
believe
came over to the big leagues, it was truly an honor for me to play every game in front of the passionate fans of San Diego. All my fellow players, coaching staff, support staff, front office, and the Padres Nation were like family to me. I will cherish the time and memories I had in San Diego in my heart. Thank you sincerely.
It sounds great to me. I don't know why you're casting aspersions at our beloved Hwang Kim.
I'm not.
Yeah, it does say big leagues.
It does.
Not brig leagues.
No.
And then he turns it on Hwang Kim.
I'm not.
I think it's the translation.
I'm sure it's just the translation.
It's not. It's not. It's how you read it.
I mean, I read it last night. I didn't have any problems with it. It's written right there. Not even any like really big words.
No,
it's pretty straightforward.
Come on,
I'm blaming you.
That's your fault. Sorry.
Awesome,
nice.
King.
It's nice to see. I always like when a person does this when they leave. Still waiting on Eric Hosmers, by the way.
It's
many years later. Just gonna grab 100.
Still getting paid.
Gonna grab 144 and walk out the door.
Maybe after this next year.
After he gets his last coin from the Padres. Hey, thank you for that scratch. I've really enjoyed sitting on my ass for the last 4 years and contributing less than nothing when I was there. So, thank you. Good work if you can get it.
I would imagine, I know that sometimes players who sign free agent contracts with other teams have mixed welcomes when they return.
Yeah.
The Tampa Bay Rays do come in the first month of the season. They'll be at Petco Park, April 25th,
nice.
26th, and 27th.
He won't be ready, though.
That's a good point.
He
probably will be with the team.
He can be with the team, yeah.
I'd imagine if anyone sees him, there's going to be nothing but positivity.
No question.
I can't imagine
no question.
a single person in San Diego having anything bad to think about Hwang Kim.
I know that Blake Snell had the buffer year in San Francisco. I'm still planning on booing Blake Snell, though. I will not boo Jerkson Profar. He'll be here opening day. We'll set the over-under on total bases for that series. I'm going to put it at like 17. 16 and a half. You can take the over-under. And what, 3-game set, 4-game set? 4-game set? Yeah. 16 and a half. And so we can have some fun with that. You know he's going to go off. But I won't be booing Jurickson or Hwang Kim. Not by a long stretch.
No.
But you do what you want, fan, listening.
But they didn't sign with the Dodgers either.
Correct. Blake, I'm sorry, buddy.
All right, we'll come back. More on Super Bowl Media Day.
Oh,
when we come back.
I feel a little vindicated, actually.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Coming up next with Ben Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we are halfway home on a Tuesday. I thought it was Wednesday for a second, but it's not. It's Tuesday. Ben and Woods, 97.3. The Fan. Great to be here with you. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, the executive producer of the program. Ben Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well. And thank you guys for listening on the radio, driving into work, or the Odyssey app, or the YouTube feed. People seem to really enjoy the YouTube feed. I catch myself yawning and stuff, and then I have to remember, oh, man, I'm on the feed. Or I have like a angry nose hair or something, and I have to remember you're on TV. I'm not used to this.
Sometimes do the kind of self-check out.
Booger check.
On the camera, just to make sure there's nothing out of place.
Yeah. You have a weird filter. You always do. He's filtered.
I'm not filtered.
You're filtered.
There's no filter.
It's
I have the exact
yellow,
same camera that you have.
I know, but look how yellow he is.
Look how pasty. The lighting in the room is just a little different over here.
We have the same light.
Yours is a yellower light than mine.
Yeah, it's hard to pick your nose on here. You can only do like a scratch.
Let's see.
And a pull.
That better?
No. You see what I'm saying, Paulie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's as not yellow as I can make my light.
You look filtered. Jaundice filter.
Maybe I am jaundiced.
Bo was jaundiced when he was born.
Was he?
And I didn't notice because I was so happy to have a son.
You have to put him under those special lights?
Yeah, and they brought him, and I see pictures from that. I'm like, he was literally yellow, like yellow. I had no idea. I didn't see it. All I saw was my baby boy, who's going to be 7 on Thursday. We did a little gift opening last night. Gets gifts from all over the country, from grandparents and things. So we let him open his first round of presents last night. And my parents really knocked it out of the park. He got a Play Like a Champion shirt. He got a little mini Notre Dame helmet that's really cool. He's stoked on. And then my parents sent a really cool, interesting gift that I'd never seen before. I didn't know it was coming. It's an ATM machine. It's a little ATM
like a toy
yes.
ATM machine.
But a completely functional, battery-powered ATM machine.
So it's like a piggy bank.
Yeah, but it's an ATM. He has a card, he has a code, and he goes up, puts his card in, puts his code in. 2 very prominent Padres numbers is what he picked. I don't want anybody to guess his code, but you could probably figure it out.
2413.
Close. If you know his favorites, you could figure it out. Yeah. So you put it in, and you can feed your money in.
I'm looking them up right now. These little toy.
You
ATM
feed your money
machines.
in, and then it stays there, and it gives you the amount you have in there. And it just, when you want to go pull cash out, put your card in, put your code in, put how much you want out, and it comes out.
That's pretty cool.
It is very cool. I didn't have, I had a piggy bank, but I would always just break into it for anything that I needed. I've never been a good saver, ever. But he's really stoked on this, and so he got like $140 for his birthday from grandparents and whatever, and he put it in there. He's got $140 sitting in there.
Did your parents ever let you take all the change from the house to the Coinstar machine down at the grocery store?
So when I was a kid.
Keep whatever you were able to get.
This is crazy. So when I was a kid, we didn't grow up with a lot of money at all. I lived with my mom and I lived with my grandparents for many years. My nanny was what we call my grandparent in the South. My nanny and I would sit and we would watch Dallas and wrestling, and I would roll pennies and dimes and nickels
and put them in little paper tubes.
The paper tubes. Fill it up, twist it, and they use that to get by. So this wasn't hey, fun spending money. We were rolling change all the time. So I spent my entire youth, Ben. There was no Coinstar. You couldn't take it to the bank. You could take it to the bank, but it had to be rolled. So you'd have a big old sack full of rolled pennies and quarters and dimes and nickels. The most arduous task, maybe of all time, rolling pennies.
Did you ever have a coin sorter?
I just did this. Here's $1. It took me 45 minutes. This is worth $1. Excellent. 100 pennies for $1. And my 6-year-old ass sitting there
2 rolls of 50 cents.
Yeah. just horrific.
It's not a great hourly wage.
No, it wasn't. But it was fun, and I have those memories from when I was a kid, of rolling change with my nanny, and it's a fond memory. Yeah, it wasn't fond then. It was very, like I said, it was very arduous. It was an arduous task, but you did what you had to do to get by, and a little different. Kid's got 140 sitting in an ATM machine. It would take me a year to save $140 if I was his age.
Well, you found a better way to make a living now.
Yeah.
By talking on the radio.
Oh, yeah.
And occasionally you hawk products, and that's part of the job of radio hosts. You hear us doing it, but it's taken to the next level during Super Bowl week. We talked about Radio Row at the start of the program. Your one visit to the Super Bowl in Atlanta in 2019, 6 years ago.
It didn't go well because you didn't listen to us.
I told you when you were going.
I felt intimidated.
I told you when you were going, how it was going to work, that you would have different, celebrities who would come by.
10-minute windows.
And they would do an interview, but they'd also want to push, a product that they were, in sponsorship. Someone was paying for them to be there.
CBD water or something.
Part of the deal was they wanted
beef jerky.
They wanted to throw in a mention for the product. And I said that's okay. This is, I scratch your back, you scratch my back, we get a good guest, you get to mention your product. It's just how it's done.
Quid
it's Super
pro
Bowl
quo.
week. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess we didn't make clear enough that the interview took the priority. And then it was up to the guest to kind of sneak in the mention somewhere during or at the end of the interview.
10-minute window, go 8.5 minutes on the big game. And then, at the end, hey, by the way, who are you working with this year?
Yes, but instead, as I'm stuck back in the studio in San Diego with Paul, Woods brings each guest up and just immediately launches in to product placement.
Correct.
Like right away.
Probably surprised the hell out of those guys.
Hey, what do you got here for us? This is great. CBD
beef
water.
jerky.
Tell us about your beef jerky.
Yeah, Evander Holyfield was pimping some beef jerky.
Maybe we'd have a minute at the end to talk about the actual Super Bowl.
So tell me about your ear. Can I see it? Wow, it's really there. I know. I didn't know what I was doing, you guys. I was under the gun. I was very intimidated. You guys were pros. I was not. I didn't know what I was doing. And I got nervous. And when I saw a guy come over with a big bottle of barbecue sauce, I just thought I would. Oh, look, this old picture of your old pal Woods. A guy come over with a big bottle of barbecue sauce. I thought, I better just start with this or he's going to leave.
He's going to leave.
Oh, God. It's true, man. And we did like 30.
The evil eye, and he just leave. If the first question isn't about barbecue sauce, I'm gone.
We did like 30 of them.
The S talking that was happening behind the scenes.
Oh, behind my back?
Oh, my God. We're
like,
what is
with
he
the mic
doing?
up, he's like,
What is he doing?
He's an idiot, Paul. I told you.
Should have stuck with Togerson.
I could have had 1 million guys in here that could have done this job. I told him. What an absolute moron. Anyway, let's talk about your time at Washington State, Ryan Leaf. I mean, it was horrible. I apologize.
Oh, God.
But I ran across some audio, and I immediately felt vindicated because it comes from the dawn of sports talk radio, Mike Francesa. And they've compiled this little piece of audio that you guys will really love, and it really sheds a good light on your old pal Woodsy. Check this out.
We haven't overloaded the shows with a bunch of, just a parade of players, because listen, that's what this has become. It's become an economy of players who want to get paid to hawk products, and that's what they do, and they just line up and hawk products. Well, we're not very much into that stuff, so.
A buddy of mine turned me on to this product. I tried it for like 3 or 4 months, and I noticed the difference, and I've been taking it ever since.
And they just line up and hawk products. Well, we're not very much into that stuff, so. X-Tech, you wear these guys yet?
Man, I switched out my pads last year.
And they just line up and hawk products. Well, we're not very much into that stuff, so. What do you got going on now?
Okay, today I'm partnering with Genesis.
Yeah.
I got to drive this car for about 2 weeks.
So it's a
G70.
It's a nice looking
car. They got
car.
G80s, G90s.
And they just line up and hawk products. Well, we're not very much into that stuff, so.
No.
All right, tell me what you're talking about.
Well, we're talking about pure sports recovery.
And they just line up and hawk products. Well, we're not very much into that stuff, so. Tell me about this thing you got going on.
Oh, my son, your kids are going to love this.
Yeah, because I know they play their buddies, and I didn't even realize, Merrill, that there was Madden Money, and they play each other. I didn't even realize this stuff went on, to be honest. And they just line up and hawk products. Well, we're not very much into that stuff, so. Right. All right, what's going on? What do you got going on here?
Well, I'm representing Aztec Pass.
Oh, yeah, I know them well. I know the guys well from New Jersey.
Yeah, they're from New Jersey.
Up in my neck of the woods. So I know them
Bob Broderick and Jack Merritt.
And they just line up and hawk products. Well, you know we're not very much into that stuff. So, all right, talk about Nutrisys for a minute. You're always doing Nutrisys and stuff. I see everywhere.
So it's been,
We've been doing that a long time.
It's been over 10 years now,
and they just line up and hawk products. Well, you know we're not very much into that stuff. So
go to Macy.com. That's the website at Macy, M-A-C-I.com.
I'm crying, dude. It's so good. So good, man. Wow. So good. Yeah, the great Mike Francesa even falls victim to hawking products on his show. We're not very into that stuff. I love it. And I do feel vindicated. It is nerve-wracking when you're sitting in there. And speak of the devil, Ben has a... Ben, welcome to Radio Row. It's good to have you here. You're a part of a very... successful radio show back in San Diego, but tell everybody why you look so good.
Yeah, it's good to be on with you today, Woods. Looking forward to the big game, but
Me too.
I'd love to tell everybody about my experience with SDFatLoss.com.
Oh,
it's
nice.
an amazing program where you can lose up to a pound of fat per day and 10 to 20% off your body weight in just 60 days. You should try it. It is easy. It's based on real foods, things you eat normal. I mean, do you eat steak, chicken?
I love steak. I like chicken. Can I eat berries on it?
You can eat berries.
Okay.
You can follow this program. There's no injections or drugs. You don't have to worry about that. No hormones, and you don't have to buy anything extra like prepackaged bars or shakes or mixes. No, it's all part of the program. Got a bunch of friends, colleagues who have lost tons of weight, like John and Jess down the hall, 70
know
pounds.
Them well.
Yeah, you know them.
Yep.
You look good. Don't they look
they
good?
Look great.
Scraby, Ello have lost
look fantastic.
77 pounds combined in 60 days. Tons of listeners. Manny lost 50 pounds in his first 60 days. John, one of our listeners, lost 40 pounds. A lot of success stories with SDFatLoss.com. So set up your free consultation by going to the website and taking advantage of the Valentine's Day special, getting $200 off right now at SDFatLoss.com. That's SDFatLoss.com. We need a contestant for Take on Woods. Give us a call, 833-288-0973. Phone lines are open. Chance to win a trip to Las Vegas. No qualifiers yet early this month. Coming up next here on 97.3 The Fan.
You got a lot going on. Thanks for stopping by the table, and we'll see you at the party tonight.
Appreciate it.
All right,
Good
buddy.
to see you.
Good to see you.
Still need a contestant for Take on Woods. Phone lines are open. Play our game here in just a couple of minutes. If you want to get online, chance to qualify for a getaway to Las Vegas. Motley Crue tickets.
Yes.
Give us a call now, 833-288-0973.
What's your favorite Motley Crue song?
Let's see.
Can you name two?
Girls, Girls, Girls.
Save that. Okay. That's one.
They also did...
Will Myers had a walk-up song.
Oh, I should remember this.
You should. It's sports.
I should. It's sports.
It's sports. It's Kickstart My Heart.
Kickstart My Heart. Yes, I like that one.
It's a great one.
Yeah, it's got that twangy, guitar-y beginning.
It's a jam.
I don't believe there's any Motley Crue questions in today's categories.
I like two very different songs. I like Shout at the Devil.
Oh, I love that song.
And I love Home Sweet Home.
Home Sweet Home is one of the best songs ever written, in my opinion. I love it.
Well, you can see them in concert at their Las Vegas residency if you can just beat or tie Woods and qualify for our grand prize drawing.
Now, I'm going to Vegas March 7th.
Will they be on yet? It is March 28th through April 19th.
Just miss them.
You can always go back. It's not that far.
It's true. Got somebody?
Yeah, we got somebody on the line. Let's get to it. It is time to play Real.
Nope, it is not. It's
Take
time
on
to
Woods.
Play Real Take on Woods.
Real Take on Woods. Real Take on Woods. All right, let's go line one here. Is this Juan?
Oh, yes.
Hey, there you are. All right, Take on Woods. It is it's your game today. You're going to go up against Woodsy. 5 questions, musical trivia. If you beat or tie him, put you into the drawing for the Las Vegas residency show, Motley Crue at Dolby Live at Park MGM. Again, March 28th to April 19th. You'll get a 2-night stay at Park MGM. Tickets to the show, which are available at Ticketmaster.com. And to give you the advantage, I will let you pick our category today. Here are your choices, Juan. We've got All About You, 5 songs that end with the phrase About You. We've got the Solar System, 5 musical answers that include a different planet in our solar system. And then Keeping Up with the Joneses, 5 questions about artists named Jones. So, All About You, the Solar System, or Keeping Up with the Joneses. Juan, what would you like to play?
Solar System.
Solar System. Okay. Today on Take on Woods, we have 5 musical answers. So, song titles, bands, artists that all include a different planet in our solar system. You'll have 60 seconds to answer as many of the 5 as you can. You can always pass if you don't know an answer. We'll come back to it if there's time left on the clock. First question is the 2-second song. Paulie's going to play some music. You need to identify the song title and the artist to score that point. Juan, you understand? You ready to play?
Let's go.
All right, Paul, you good?
I'm ready.
All right, 60 seconds on the clock. Again, remember the category, the solar system. Your time begins when Paul plays our 2-second song. Good luck, Juan. Let's take on Woods.
Take him on. Okay, that's Venus by the Bengals.
Oh, incorrect. Bananarama. Maurice White founded which band known for classics like Boogie Wonderland and Let's Groove and September?
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Correct. Which legendary rock frontman was born in Zanzibar in 1946 to Zoroastrian parents?
Frank Zappa.
Incorrect. The string section plays a huge role in which 2001 lead single by the band Train?
Moondrops of Jupiter.
Drops of Jupiter, correct. Which modern pop star joined with Anderson .Paak in 2021 to form the super duo Silk Sonic?
Bruno Mars.
Correct. All right, got 3 inside the 60 seconds. Well done, Juan. Stay on the line. Yeah, you missed the artist. Venus by Bananarama. I'd also take Shocking Blue, which is the original version, but Venus was the answer. And then Freddie Mercury is the frontman for Queen. Zoroastrian parents born in Zanzibar. Helps if you've seen the movie about Queen. What was that movie called? That was a good movie.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody. So we got 3 correct. Let's bring Woods back in.
It got very dark out there.
Yeah.
All the lights in the hallway went out.
All right. Juan has done his part. His score is locked in. You don't get the category. See if you can figure this one out. 60 seconds on the clock. Woods, your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck. Let's take on Juan.
Pass.
Maurice White founded which band known for classics like Boogie Wonderland?
The Bee Gees.
Incorrect. Which legendary rock frontman was born in Zanzibar in 1946 to Zoroastrian parents?
Which rock frontman?
Yes.
Zanzibar. Pass.
The string section plays a huge role in which 2001 lead single by the band Train. He's lost here.
Wow. Seriously.
What's that? I'm dead.
Wow.
Oh, God. Pass.
Which modern pop star joined with Anderson .Paak in 2021 to form the super duo Silk Sonic?
Another 0.
Wow.
I got nothing.
Back to our 2-second song?
No, I have no idea.
No?
No. What's the effing category?
Wow.
Maurice White? Who is that? Maurice Gibb is who I was thinking
Yes,
of.
you were.
I don't know.
Time's running out. Juan's got a 3-0 win.
Oh.
Wow, an offer.
All right, give me the
Congratulations,
category.
Juan. The category is the solar system. Each
Solar
answer included a planet in the solar system.
Okay.
So the song,
No idea.
Venus by Bananarama.
Damn it. All right.
The band was Earth, Wind, and Fire. September, Let's Groove, Boogie Wonderland. Zanzibar, the frontman of Queen, is
Freddie Mercury.
Damn it. Train is Drops of
Jupiter.
And Bruno Mars is Silk Sonic with Anderson .Paak.
Just when I thought I was back, I'm out.
What a surprise again.
Is that 3 goose eggs in like a week?
It might be, but not a 3-0 loss. Juan, congratulations.
Rough stretch.
Hang on the line. Paulie will get your information and get you into our grand prize drawing at the end of the month for the trip and the tickets to Motley Crue.
I'm embarrassed.
I thought that was a good category, a clever category.
I know.
Sorry.
Don't break your arm patting yourself on the back. It's fine. I mean, I
clever
got
category.
0, so wasn't that great?
Different planets of the solar system.
Damn it. Would have helped me, I think.
Sorry,
a
Woods.
little bit. It's all right. It happens. I like when people call. I would like Juan to go rock his ass off at Motley Crue.
When we come back, we know, obviously the Padres fan base has been feeling the stress of the ownership drama. But how do they view this from outside of San Diego? Some interesting new perspectives out there. We'll get to that coming up.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are suffering with joint pain right now, I can totally relate. I've been there too. A couple years ago, sitting in here with carpal tunnel braces on my wrists, tape on my wrist before I would try to do anything. Then I found QC Kinetics, and look, I was skeptical. I didn't know if it was going to work. I'm so glad that I took that leap of faith, went into QC Kinetics, got treatments in both hands, and then later ended up getting one in my knee. It's just phenomenal. The awful joint pain that you go through, it impacts everything in your life. It's always there. QC Kinetics, groundbreaking treatments for arthritis pain. Long-term relief is now possible. Don't wait. Make the call today. Talk to their local medical professionals. These guys are awesome. They're going to take such good care of you. They got a couple different locations, one in Torrey Hills, one in Hillcrest. Joint pain does not get better with time. So before it's absolutely debilitating, see if you're a candidate for the life-changing regenerative treatments that they offer. I'm talking about PRP treatments. They revitalize your joints. You don't have to go under the knife. You don't miss a beat either, man. I mean, I got the treatments in my hands, went home, put a little heating pad on it, and was ready to go the next day. All right, so really, really simple to do. These guys are incredible. Call them today, 619-614-PAIN. You'll get a free consultation, 619-614-PAIN. It's QC Kinetics, 619-614-PAIN. Let them know Woodsy sent you.
Get back to some Padres talk here in a second. It does. I do want to bring up though the this NBA trade deadline that's coming up. It has the makings of one of the biggest, most sensational ones of all time.
Yeah.
Beyond just the Luka Doncic, Anthony Davis, absolute blockbuster shocker.
Well, I've heard that phones are ringing off the hook with GMs asking for superstars.
Right.
Just going nuts.
I mean, in a normal year, the De'Aaron Fox, Zach LaVine, trade that went down that we didn't even get to yesterday would be considered a major blockbuster deal. Pairing Victor Wembanyama with De'Aaron Fox in San Antonio, changing kind of the course of that franchise. And now the rumors that are popping up. There's a couple of big ones out there this morning.
KD.
Kevin Durant to the Warriors. Back to the Warriors?
Good
again?
Lord.
Part 2? KD to the Warriors sounds like it's a serious, there's a lot of smoke about the Suns trading KD to the Warriors. And then Jimmy Butler apparently has got his sights set on the Suns. And, he's already turned down the Warriors. They tried, and he said he didn't want to sign there, so that torpedoed the deal. But now there's talk that he wants to end up with the Suns. I don't know. I mean, if
KD's there or if KD's not there.
I don't know. The complex nature of how this all will shake out, that's what NBA GMs are really paid for here, is salary cap ramifications and how to make this all work out. But in terms of the juiciness for basketball fans, this is an all-timer. I mean, we've seen some exciting baseball trade deadlines the last few years. Yeah. This one's an all-timer in the works for basketball. It already is, even if there wasn't another deal done. But if KD goes to the Warriors, crazy stuff in the world of the NBA.
I'm looking at standings right now because I haven't looked at standings in a long time in the NBA.
Getting to the point, All-Star break, where you can kind of check them out.
Lakers 9 games above 500. I guess I would consider that a surprise as what I read, at least online, and see reaction constantly. And now they're adding Luka to their team. That's going to be you have to be pretty excited if you're a Laker
fan.
Though,
they're losing Anthony Davis.
That's true.
That's a huge loss. Whereas on the other side, the Mavericks are
26 and 24. They're in 8.
They're in the play-in games right now. They're getting Anthony Davis, but they're losing Luka. I just don't.
It's going to be fascinating to see how
either team
plays out.
Like right now significantly better or worse than they were a couple of weeks ago. Because, you added a huge piece, but you also lost an enormous piece for both teams.
You know what's crazy? I'm looking at this right now. The Washington Wizards, they're 8-41. They've won their last 2. So they had won 6 games as of about a week ago. That is insane.
I saw them lose by 45 to the Lakers the other day. I mean, they were really, really bad.
Can you name one Bullet or Wizard?
Wizard
used to be the Bullets.
Who was? I was watching. No. Poole. No, not Poole. What's his name?
Jared Butler. Bub Carrington. Justin Champagne.
You're just making names up.
Sadiq Bey. Malcolm,
Jordan Poole. I was right. Jordan Poole.
Malcolm Brogdon.
I was right. I had one. Jordan Poole.
Kyle Kuzma. I know him.
Yeah.
Former Laker. Wow, he's been banished out there. Yeah, 8 games. Holy smokes.
They're a bad team.
That's a bad squad. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. You wonder, I saw KD potentially on the move. I did not know it was back to Golden State. I had seen teams are calling. Now, what's Phoenix? Where are they? Where are they currently in the standings?
They've been struggling this year.
They are on the outside looking
in.
No, they're the last. They're tied for the last play-in spot at number 10 with Golden State. Golden State needs to do something just to get in right now.
Crazy.
But, is there one last run with Steph and KD? No, Klay Thompson anymore, of course. He's in Dallas.
How about the freaking Cavs and the Thunder, man? 40 and 9 for the Cavs, which nobody had that coming. And 39.
Are they the best teams, though, or is it still the Celtics? They're the best team, the defending champs. Who's the favorites going in? I mean, there's still some time to work it all out, and we haven't gotten through the trade deadline yet.
Interesting stuff. My man Joe Ty up there in Brooklyn is having a tough time. 16-33.
Yeah, they made some bad moves that have hamstrung them a little bit.
Sounds familiar.
They went all in a few years ago. Yeah. It didn't work out.
Didn't work out well.
And they're paying the piper.
Not work out well.
So you're saying they might have painted themselves into a bit of a corner with some of their They're players.
Yeah,
Exactly.
some big contracts.
Interesting.
Yeah, which didn't quite work out.
Can't relate.
All right, I want to talk about the Padres ownership dilemma as viewed from a different lens. We're all obviously here in San Diego viewing it through the lens of Padres fans. How are they viewing it from outside of the market? We'll get to that after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Seeing some improvements on our roads, especially in the North County. Crash cleared on southbound 15 near El Norte Parkway and at Scripps Poway Parkway. Westbound 56, still going to see a little activity just past Camino del Sur. Crash in the center divide, but looks like a chain link fence got knocked down in that. And an accident being cleared out of the fast lane on eastbound 78 right before Barham. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So Bill Shaken from the LA Times came down to Padres Fan Fest over the weekend to, gauge the temperature of Padres fans. And you can say what you want.
Thought I smelled something.
Bill's not a hater. He's not flashy. He's not an edgelord columnist in LA. He's a fairly reasonable fellow. And
why are you Dodger loving on the flagship this morning?
I don't think he does either. And he had, I thought, an interesting perspective. He talked to some fans, and then he gave a little bit of historical context to it because he said, okay, so I'm there and I'm talking to fans, and he's feeling the nervousness. And he says the trepidation was in the air at Petco Park on Saturday. Good team, great fans, best ballpark in Southern California, but is an ownership dispute going to paralyze the franchise? 2 springs ago, I sat in the passenger seat of a golf cart at the Padres spring training complex in Peoria. Peter Seidler sat in the driver's seat. And this was a famous quote that's been brought up many times. He said he wanted to emphasize he was spending lavishly to build a foundation to challenge the Dodgers year in and year out, not to pump up the payroll and attendance and then sell the team. Quote, myself and my family, we will own this franchise for the next 50, 75 years. You remember that quote? Yeah. That was told to Bill Shaken of the LA Times originally. But Bill also had some perspective because the Dodgers, remember, went through this in the 2000s when Frank McCourt
2011
owned the team.
Fairly recent, fairly recent.
Yeah, barely over a decade ago. And then he and his wife, Jamie, got divorced. And in that case, they both started by saying, this isn't going to affect anything. Frank said, I'm still going to own the team. Nothing is going to change. This is irrelevant. We are going to figure this out. But ultimately, they were not able to. In the Dodgers case, Jamie McCourt, tried to wrest control away from Frank with the team. Ultimately, they had to settle. Frank paid Jamie $131 million, and then he had to sell the team for $2 billion just to make it all go away. There was no other way legally to get through it.
Quite the golden parachute for him.
Yeah, I mean, financially, obviously, there's plenty of money to go around, but the actual control of the team, neither of them could hold on to it. And one of the things that they pointed to in their debate when they went to court, they said, this is not going to turn into something like happened in San Diego when John Morris went through his divorce. And that ended up torpedoing his ownership in the divorce case. Now, this isn't a divorce, but it paralyzed the franchise. They had to sell. It was a dark time for the San Diego Padres as they went through, that transition from John Morris, kind of a no man's land for.
Give me the path there. It was Moores?
It was Moores, and then he tried to sell it to Jeff Morad.
Okay.
And he was not approved by Major League Baseball. But during those 2 or 3 years, payrolls were way down. This was the early 2010s. Finally, the divorce was finalized. They rejected Morad. They sold it to Ron Fowler.
Yep.
And the group that included Peter Seidler initially. And, it took a few years, but they started building things up. And then, Peter Seidler took over, and that we know where that led to.
Yep.
But they both insisted at the time, this is not going to be another San Diego-like debacle. Wow. And it did. It turned into an absolute – the Dodgers were a mess for a few years. They had a payroll one of the seasons lower than the Minnesota Twins because they were paralyzed by this court proceedings involving ownership. And Bill Shaken, ends his piece like this, and I do think he's very fair. He said, "Here's hoping there's not going to be another San Diego-like debacle in San Diego. The best rivalry in baseball deserves better. The people who run the Padres every day and the people who root for them every day deserve better.
Thanks, Bill. I appreciate that, buddy.
And, as much as you don't necessarily like where the message is coming from,
it's a good message.
I kind of agreed with the message of where he was coming from. People like A.J. Preller, Padres fans, certainly, Mike Schiltz, the players, they don't deserve to be stuck in limbo for a couple of years, 3 or 4 years while this is going on. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough given the level of kind of animosity that you saw in the court filings from both sides.
Yeah.
How can you possibly find some common ground and figure this out? Because
how about a potential Major League Baseball bailout, as they did for the Los Angeles Dodgers?
At the end, when Frank McCourt filed for divorce, they had to, or filed for bankruptcy, they had to. There was no, they can't.
How does a man file for bankruptcy, then able to sell the team for $2 billion? How do you have an asset worth $2 billion and you're bankrupt?
I don't know. But, there's never been any. There's no hint that there's any money problems necessarily with the Padres. We haven't heard about, other than, Major League Baseball didn't like the spending and the debt service, and they had to call on it. But I haven't gotten the sense that anyone is going, broke running the Padres right now. They may have cash flow issues. That's different than actual money problems.
Well, but that's today. That could change as the Seidler brothers and Scheel, litigate their suits and everything. Money, from what I understand, money is coming out, right? That costs money to do. It's a lot of money to keep this thing going.
Civil Luthi in the chat says bankruptcy is about cash flow. Assets aren't cash. You can't pay your bills with your sports team value.
Okay, so you can.
You'd have to sell it to pay bills.
To pay it back.
That's not. It's not like going to the supermarket and go, I need a gallon of milk and I need a loaf of bread.
I own the Dodgers.
I own a baseball team, so they're still going to say, hey, I need $7, please.
Yeah, you can't buy it on IOU, and this is what you should see my house and my car. Yeah. It's great. Trust me.
Yeah, trust me.
I should just be able to take this. It's wild.
So I think the sentiment is one that is appreciated, actually.
It is, but it doesn't give you much hope that it won't go poorly like it did for even the LA Dodgers. Now, Guggenheim comes in and saves the day, clearly. Guggenheim being able to be bought by a hedge fund like Guggenheim with what's their market cap? $300 billion or something? They could light money on fire and be fine. It's just crazy.
So you're saying you just need Guggenheim.
We need Guggenheim the sequel.
Yeah. Guggenheim Partners has over $330 billion in assets under their management.
So they're in good financial shape, I would say.
They'll be okay.
Yeah. So not every team is going to have a Guggenheim to come in and save them. And not every team is going to have Major League Baseball come in and bail them out and take over.
Mark Walter, who runs Guggenheim, his personal net worth is over $6 billion. Yeah. So they're good.
Now I think it's easy for the Dodgers and even a writer in Los Angeles to want the Padres to be a competitive, it's a good storyline. Padres versus Dodgers is a good storyline. Dodgers aren't going anywhere. They have nothing to worry about. Like you just said, they're going to be there. They need some drama here. It's not actually that interesting.
Do they?
I would think so. No, not the Dodgers, but people who cover the Dodgers. Not that fun of a story. They're 17 games up in July.
Smoking?
If you're a Dodger fan, you're elated.
If you're a fan, I'm saying if you're a columnist, though, what do you write? What do you write about?
Well, 19 people in the press box, and by the way, I would disagree. I think winning 112 games or something, that's a pretty fun season.
No, but if
you're
looking at the health of the sport and what's going to interest people,
so
overall, if you're the commissioner, is it good for baseball if the Dodgers win the division by 25 games?
Do you care if you're the commissioner? They are a money-making machine. And you want to talk about a bigger problem? We did the playoff chances earlier. Somebody made the really astute point. I don't want to take credit for this because I saw it on Twitter. Is it a bigger problem that the Los Angeles Dodgers are 100% chance to make the playoffs, or is it a bigger problem that the White Sox, Miami, Colorado, the A's, the Reds, Pittsburgh, Washington, they're all under 6% or lower? Is that a bigger problem?
I know,
That's 1, 2,
I know
3,
what you're
4, 5,
saying.
6,
and for
7
those fan
teams.
bases, obviously, that's a bigger problem. But what moves the needle? What moved the needle last year? The Padres-Dodgers rivalry actually moves the needle in baseball. And the more those teams now get away from that, because the Padres are dealing with ownership drama and the Dodgers are overspending their way into, like, invincibility.
Right.
There's not much of a or at least regular season wise, not much of a rivalry when you know you're probably going to be 25 games out. It was great last year because the Padres were right with them until the end. It fueled interest in the game. This isn't going to fuel any interest in the game if the Dodgers maybe. Their pursuit of the all-time record in the last couple of weeks of the season will fuel a little bit of interest. But for the most part, I don't think the Dodgers are going to be that interesting of a story this year.
No.
And no one's going to challenge them either.
No, I don't think they're going to get a lot of challenges as far as, the division and things like that.
Now, if they lose in the playoffs, that's a huge story for a couple days.
Massive. Nude me running around the city.
And if they win, it's kind of a big story, but everyone's kind of mad about it too. Baseball has kind of put itself in. There's not a lot of avenues in which they win by backing the Dodgers' move here.
Well, you'd be surprised because it's all you see from their Twitter feed. Here's Roki's dog. Here's Shohei's dog. Do they know each other? Are they friends? It's going to be the longest 10 years of your life. I'm telling you that.
I see what you're saying, but in my view, if the Dodgers do what everyone thinks and they
just roll
all the way through and win the World Series, everybody's mad. Other than Dodgers fans.
100%.
Everybody's mad.
Livid.
If they roll and then get upset in the playoffs,
everybody's happy.
Then everyone dances a jig.
Yeah.
And I guess baseball points and says, see
there's parity.
Everything's okay.
Right.
But I don't know. It's a lot to gamble on. All right, we're just waiting until October to decide whether this is okay or not, what the Dodgers are doing.
I agree. Yeah, I don't know. I think what they're doing, again, it's not illegal. They've exploited some loopholes, but they're completely above board in what they've done. They found a superstar willing to defer a lot of his money. Not every team's going to have that. Not every team's going to have Guggenheim. Not every team's going to be able to infiltrate the entire country of Japan, get every endorsement from Japan. I mean, they're printing money in LA. They're spending money, but they're printing it as fast as they can spend it. So it is. It's going to be interesting to see. But, yeah, you have to. 100% chance to make the playoffs. You have to win the World Series. There's nothing short of a World Series victory that should happen for the Los Angeles Dodgers. There's a lot of pressure. To perform. Lots. As deep as you are, as strong as you are, maybe even going into the playoffs as healthy as you are, you still got to get those big games won. So that's kind of our only thing to hope for, is that they do stumble and fall in their face, because right now, they're just the clear juggernaut.
All right now the Dodgers are being covered almost like TMZ covers celebrities, right?
Oh, yeah.
They just have so many big stars that everywhere you look, paparazzi shots of, the dog and Shohei and Roki and that's great, but there's no substance to that coverage. There never was. An encounter with a celebrity is actually not a story.
Mookie said it last year. He said, we're going to be every team's World Series. And I think that was true last year. And I didn't have a real problem with him saying it, but it's going to be triply bad now.
Or is it, every team, as I suggested earlier, goes, well, we'll just punt on the Dodgers games. We know we're not probably going to win them anyway. Why waste our pitching? Why not just give some guys days off when we face the Dodgers?
Yeah, we got a big series against the Diamondbacks this week.
We're saving. Yeah, absolutely. The Padres, if it came to it, if you had back-to-back series, 3 against the Dodgers, 3 against the Diamondbacks, you save your better pitchers for the Diamondbacks.
It makes sense. It makes sense to me.
Absolutely, you do.
It makes sense to me, depending on where you are in the schedule. I don't think you do it in April or May, but if you're September, man, I think punting. The appearance of a punt.
Team you need to beat out.
Yep.
It's not the Dodgers.
Correct.
Not going to do that.
Correct.
You need to beat out the Diamondbacks.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the head-to-head against the Dodgers. It'd be fun to win a few of those games. We handled them last year in the regular season. They played them very, very tough, and it's not like they had any shortage of superstars on that team as well. There's still a lot to look forward to. But, yeah, I see what you're saying. You get down to September, Benny, You're like, yeah, we don't need to beat these guys. We need to beat the next guys.
A little sad story I just saw on my Twitter feed. I'll tell you about it. It could affect what's coming to San Diego next week at Torrey Pines as well. That is coming up. We'll also have our biggest fan reveal for a Tuesday coming up when we return. Bennett Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Got some troubling info for San Diego State basketball fans coming up.
Full of good news today.
Went through the early odds already for the Padres to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I've got some updated odds for the Aztecs to make the NCAA basketball tournament.
Looking dicey?
Looking a little bit dicey. Get to that. New bracketology out this morning coming up. First, it is time, 9 a.m., to announce today's biggest fan. If you hear your name called, you'll have 10 minutes to call us back. If you do, at 833-288-0973, you'll qualify for our grand prize, 20 tickets for you and your friends for a night in our Odyssey Suite at a Padres game later this season. Remember
Go ahaid, but we have a new name. I don't know what happened.
You're switching out the name on me.
I'm not switching it, but names have been updated.
Wow. All right. Well, I haven't said any names yet, so I don't have to change anything. Remember to register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggest fan. Maybe we had a late register sneaking in there. All right, Paulie, who is today's biggest fan?
Renato Palma from San Diego.
Renato. You have 10 minutes to call us.
Clock.
833-288-0973. Good luck to you. We've had a fairly high incident of callbacks so far, at least on our program, which is good.
Yeah.
Always good news. So here's the good news for you. Just looking at this right now. Should I tease the sad news first? Tiger Woods just announced that his mom, Tita Woods, passed away this morning. And obviously you remember her when, he was first coming up and cheering him on at all of his big wins and as he, Sunday red, and she was usually there on the 18th green. Of course, she and Earl, who died many years ago, his dad, split up at some point later, but they were married early on in Tiger's career. But I know Tiger was close with his mom, and
they said as tough as Earl was on Tiger, and he was tough. If you've ever seen the Tiger documentary on HBO, if you haven't seen it, you don't have to even like golf a little to watch this documentary and have your mind blown. And Earl was like he would mess with his psyche, like his psychology. Tiger would be 7. And they would do a putting contest, and Earl would stand next to him, and he'd jingle these coins in his pocket every time Tiger would putt. And Tiger learned to tune it out at 7 years old. And they had all these grand visions for they were the ultimate helicopter parents when it came to Tiger's golf. But they said as tough as he could be, she was 50 times tougher on him.
Here's the statement Tiger released. It's with heartfelt sadness that I want to share that my dear mother, Clotilda Woods, passed away early this morning. My mom was a force of nature all her own. Her spirit was simply undeniable. She was quick with the needle and a laugh. She was my biggest fan, greatest supporter. Without her, none of my personal achievements would have been possible. She was loved by so many, but especially by our 2 grandchildren, Sam and Charlie. Thank you all for your support, prayers, and privacy at this difficult time for me and my family. Love you, Mom. Now, obviously, certainly our thoughts go out to Tiger here, losing his, his second parent. He's also hosting.
Shout out to his family.
Shout out to her family.
Shout out to his family.
Tiger's family.
Tiger's family.
Her family. We shout out to her family.
But also shout out to his family.
He's slated to host the Genesis Invitational at Torrey Pines next week. A week from today. He should be on site, and hasn't been determined if he was going to play or not. I don't know if this affects any of the preparation that goes into his tournament, or means
I would imagine it would.
He wouldn't, maybe not play if he was thinking about playing. With everything now going on here personally and family-wise, I would imagine it is going to impact him. So not obviously the most important thing. Most important thing is Tiger and his family, but it does change the equation a little bit going into the Genesis Invitational next week at Torrey Pines. All right, back to the college basketball. So the good news for the Aztecs, Joe Lunardi's latest bracketology this morning, they're still in, but they're one of the last 4 teams in. Play-in game.
Wow.
Like just on the bubble. And when you're on the bubble, remember, even if you win, you don't necessarily stay there.
Sometimes when you win, you actually lose. Sometimes when you lose, you actually tie.
But, if other teams win conference tournaments and steal bids, you can get knocked out of your bubble spot without without losing a single game in that sense. So they are in at the moment. But in the accompanying Bubble Watch column, first one that I've seen this offseason, they go through the actual BPI, which is their projected chances for each team to make the tournament. And when you go down to the Mountain West, you see Utah State, 65%, and then San Diego State, 44%. And here's what they wrote. The Aztecs find themselves around a coin flip for the tourney after a recent stretch of not playing their best basketball, even though they're still 8-3 in Mountain West play. They rank 48th in net and 42nd in strength of record, squarely in the danger zone for a team seeking an at-large bid, especially from a conference that will probably have fewer bids this year than last. According to the ESPN forecast, the Mountain West is tracking for 2.2 expected tourney teams, a sharp drop from 6 last March. So, yeah, if there's only 2 teams that make it from the Mountain West, right now it would be Utah State and New Mexico. Those are the best 2 teams from the Mountain West so far.
The 2 at-large bids?
I mean,
you assume one will win the Mountain West?
This is obviously assuming the Aztecs don't win the conference tournament, because if they did, they're in. It doesn't matter. But if you don't, one of those other 2 teams is in. The other one gets in.
If they win.
If they win, then who's left? Maybe no one from the Mountain West.
Every year we talk about it. Why is there so much emphasis on the 4-day tournament in Vegas, the conference tournament, versus the regular season, at least the conference schedule? Like, if you win the Mountain West regular season conference title, 20 games or whatever, and you are number 1, that should be the automatic bid. Not getting hot for 4 days and Wyoming sneaks into the tournament. They're not a tournament team because they won 4 games. I would think the better sample is the regular season.
But wouldn't that team, it wouldn't be an at-large bid, but they'd get in, right? If you won the Mountain West.
I mean, if
you win your conference tournament, you're automatically.
No, not tournament. If you win,
you don't get automatically.
There's no auto bid.
San Diego State, like 6 years ago, they went 19-2 and won the conference,
lost in the finals, and didn't make it.
Tournament,
and didn't make it.
Did not make it into the.
That's unfortunate. Well, I mean, look, we talk about it in sports all the time. It's right there in front of you. You play both of those teams within the span of 3 days of each other. You know what I'm saying? So February 22nd at Utah State, home against New Mexico. There it is. I mean, you can do some damage. You have 9 games left.
You win those games, you're back in really good shape. Yep. But those are going to be tough games 100%. To win. You split both of those, you're probably pretty happy. But that leaves you probably still sitting on the bubble, even if you do.
Now, how many conferences are there in basketball?
Oh, now?
30?
Somewhere, I think, between like 28 to 30, something like that.
So let's call it 30. You can do 30 regular season at-large bids. You win the regular season, you're in.
Yep.
And then you potentially could have 30 more if
they win
30 different teams
win the tournament.
Maybe like you just say, if you make it to the championship round in your conference tournament, the runner-up then gets the automatic bid, and that still leaves room for some at-large.
But they don't
like the NCAA football tournament.
I mean, they don't want the the first and second place teams from like the MEAC and some of the SWAC and some of these conferences that are 1-bid leagues every single year without fail. They've never gotten an at-large bid in the history of the NCAA tournament. They're not changing that. Now, if you can make the argument that a regular season champion's much more deserving, but then what's the point of a conference tournament? If you're not playing for anything, the regular season.
I think what Paulie's saying is there is no point for a conference tournament.
Right now, there's no point for the regular season.
But when you put an NCAA bid on the line, all of a sudden you have great theater and drama.
True.
Which is great for television and ratings.
True.
Like, they're playing for an NCAA tournament bid? All right, I'll flip it in.
Well, I mean, look,
they're playing for some meaningless tournament title when we already know that the team that got upset in the first round because they won the regular season's in. Never mind, I'm not going to watch that.
Look at football. Ohio State did not win their conference tournament, and they're the national championships. Notre Dame did not play in a conference, and they were in the national championship.
I mean, if you're a big-time school, I mean, there's going to be 10 teams from the Big 12 and 14 teams from the SEC in the NCAA tournament. Plenty of at-large bids for those conferences. It's the other schools that have trouble getting in with at-large bids.
I mean, then it's really clear. The next 9 games you have to play your tails off.
And one thing that was pointed out to me yesterday,
or rest for 4 days,
or
in
rest
Vegas.
for 4 of them, and then crush it in Vegas. That's not dice you want to throw, though.
No,
and I get it.
No.
I get it. You want to try to win these games.
My buddy Steve Liu, who's our design director at Channel 10, he pointed out. So you look at the records, the overall records right now. The Aztecs are 15-5, but like Utah State's 19-3, New Mexico's 18-4. San Diego State has 2 less games than most teams. Yeah. Dutch was not able to schedule a full schedule of games, so it shouldn't matter too much in the end. But San Diego State might might not have as many wins as some of those other teams in the end. They may have as few losses, but they're going to be short a win or two because they didn't play a full slate of games. They could have scheduled, I think, up to 2 more games, and they just never did. Well, that hurt them in the NCAA tournament. It's possible that, having 21 wins instead of 23 could come back to bite them at the end of the season. Now, if you scheduled 2 more games and lost them, that would obviously be a bad thing. So,
you're a wreck about this right now.
No, I'm not a wreck. I'm just, it's a coin. Basically, the Aztecs are a coin flip at the moment.
Which you don't want to be. But there's still, like I said, still 9 regular season games to go. No reason to panic as of right now. But I have not heard the Annie and Elston bit where they just read all of your...
I did hear it yesterday.
Your stream of consciousness.
Braden reads all my tweets from the game, tries to add a little inflection. My sarcasm, my exasperation.
And what do they do? They just make fun of you?
Yeah, they use it to kind of tell the story of the game as it's going along.
I love this. It's a great bit, one that I'm actually mad we didn't do on our own show with our own host.
I think it works better for them, actually.
It does, yeah. You getting worked up about the Aztecs.
But, I was driving on my way home yesterday and listening, and, Braden starts, all right, here we go, back to the first half. An underwhelming first half at home by the Aztecs. Weird. That's my first tweet from the game on Saturday when they were just like a couple of points up. And I said, there's a special kind of tension for SDSU fans in 60% of Mountain West games, knowing a loss can ruin the season, but you absolutely can lose anytime you take the floor.
If you were on the couch in the office and you're laying on the couch and I'm sitting in my chair, I think my question to you would be, what are you trying to accomplish?
I'm tweeting through it.
You're like Jack Kerouacking it.
I'm just tweeting through it.
Tweeting through it, just getting after it.
Braden says this one was his favorite. Trying to goaltend a shot that has no chance of going in is just something.
He's losing it, man. He's laughing at his own tweet.
It's just something. Do you remember that play?
I didn't see it. I was at Seals.
Paul, you remember that one? It was off the backboard. It was like 6 feet wide of the basket.
Yeah,
and they went up and swatted it, and they said, foul and the basket. It was like, the ball wasn't even close to the bucket. It wasn't even near the hoop.
I guess Craig can't believe, Adam says, Craig can't believe you're so passionate about SDSU because you didn't even go to SDSU.
I didn't. That's my team.
That's your squad.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't go to Notre Dame. I couldn't get in, so I'm very passionate about them.
I never played for the Padres, but
I'm passionate about them. Yeah,
fair enough.
True. That's fair. Well, I like it. Keep it up. It's giving them good material.
Yeah,
so that's
it's
good.
A solid segment.
That's good. That's good for all of us.
All right, Paulie, if you would.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. GEGE 000-466.
All right, yes, always be responsible.
Yes,
but,
please.
If you are a responsible gambler, I suggest you make a trip down to play some cards at 7 Mile Casino. It's been our place for many years now. I had no idea. I kind of had driven by it. I knew it existed.
I'll admit it. I judged it.
We both kind of judge a book
by
by its cover.
Yep.
Like, if it's this close and it's right there, I'm sure I would have heard if it was great.
Right.
And then we went inside and we go, hold on, this place is great.
Yeah,
I saw someone in the chat said yesterday, oh, it's kind of smaller. Yeah, it is. It's not huge.
Yeah,
but
which I like.
I think that's a good thing.
Me too.
You don't have to drive way out and park in a garage and then walk 20 minutes to get to the back of a smoky casino to find the card room. It's right there. It's set up for you, the card player. Texas Hold'em, California-style blackjack, Pai Gow, Baccarat, great dealers, great setting.
Food. Great food.
Yes.
They got great food. We had breakfast there, we had lunch there, and we had dinner there. When we were out for the Korea series, all the Tier 1 showed up. What a night and morning that was. If you had a chance to go back, great. Greatly appreciated. If you haven't gone back yet, do it. Do it for us. Head on down to 7 Mile Casino. The best part, just 7 minutes from downtown.
Had some news that came out of the NFL yesterday on Super Bowl Monday, including the commissioner, Roger Goodell, meeting with the media, addressing various topics and concerns, including allegations that the refs favor the Chiefs. He said, is this the old thing that I write the script for the season? I sit down in my office and script it all out, had the Chiefs winning again over the Eagles. He said, that's the furthest thing from the truth. Our officials are highly dedicated professionals.
Which is exactly what you'd say if you wanted people to think that you didn't do that. Correct?
Well, he's definitely trying to downplay that story.
Correct.
No doubt about that. Also had, the players did their media day stuff. I didn't see much in the way of the normal hijinks and self-promotion. Paulie said he saw some of it going on, but
clips going around.
Yeah, I didn't see any viral.
I don't like media
huge
day.
Moments.
You don't learn anything. It's weird.
I learned one thing about Patrick Mahomes yesterday. Obviously he grew up in Texas. He was a Cowboys fan growing up, but he said, I hated the New England Patriots. Just absolutely hated them. But he said, now
I like them.
No, he said, but now I have an appreciation for what they were able to do. Knowing, I'm trying to do it here and how hard it is to stay at the top level consistently year after year. It's given him a new appreciation for what Tom Brady and Bill Belichick were able to do over the years in New England.
Certainly not easy. Certainly probably underappreciated by those of us that have never done it. But yeah, I Paulie was just saying he's having a hard time picking a winner. I am as well. I can't figure it out.
I won a lot of Super Bowl bets in the last 10 years by just not rooting against or not betting against Tom Brady.
That's exactly right.
And it feels the same with the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes.
And I went with my gut and my heart, and I took even a couple of little points with the Bills, and I thought, okay, like this could be Josh Allen's year. I mean, he's MVP caliber. Like they've got something there. This is the team that's gonna upend them. And you watch the first two series from each club, and you went, oh God. Yeah, there's Josh Allen almost threw 2 picks on consecutive plays. Patrick Mahomes and his team look like a well-oiled machine. And then you have to factor in what Roger Goodell and everybody else is saying it doesn't happen. They do get the benefit of calls. So how could I, in good conscience, bet against them laying only, 2 points right now?
Keep in mind, though, the Super Bowl is a different animal. And, Tom Brady, they got a lot of calls, too. He lost 3 of them. Patrick Mahomes has already lost 1 of them.
He has.
And if he keeps getting there.
He's 2-1?
He's
3-1. Yeah.
And if he keeps getting there, he'll win more, and he'll probably lose more as well. The Super Bowl's a different sort of animal. There's so much attention on it. I just feel like I don't think there's any inherent advantage necessarily to the Chiefs in this game. I go with what Paul said. I think the Eagles just have the more talented team. Had a lot of momentum.
That's what makes it tough. I think they have the better team.
They've crushed more opponents going in. The Chiefs,
can absolutely see them just rolling in the Super Bowl. But then, if for whatever reason it's anything close in the fourth quarter,
you're like, what was I doing?
You don't bet against the Chiefs in the fourth quarter.
Like, Patrick Mahomes has a great chance to pull it out. But they're not going to win every close game the rest of his life either. They're going to lose a close game at some point as well. So I think they've got a couple of things working against them. Their offense isn't as explosive. I don't see the Chiefs putting up like 35, 40 points. Could see the Eagles doing that, possibly. Now, the Chiefs defense will likely keep it. I seen the over-under numbers tick down. The Chiefs have remained 1.5-point favorites pretty much since the line came out, but the over-under numbers tick down a point or two, which indicates that bettors are expecting a lower scoring game, which makes sense. Good defenses on both sides. And the Chiefs' offense in particular has not been – they've not lit up the scoreboard all season long. It's not the Chiefs from a few years ago that was like, oh, yeah, we'll score 30, 40 points. They're more of a defensive-based team that's quietly kind of transitioned their strength. Yeah, they still have Patrick Mahomes to pull out enough points, but they've all been about enough points, not just, hitting you over the head with their offensive, firepower anymore. They barely hit – the wide receivers haven't done much. Travis Kelce isn't as dominant. He'll still get his catches, but he's not as dominant as he used to be. Not quite as good of a team offensively as they used to be.
Yeah, I mean, look, you take the Eagles' money line right now, it's plus 100. So it's not – it's minus 120 to take the Chiefs. It's 1. The place I have, Benny, is the line is 1. I mean, it's basically a pick 'em for the Super Bowl, which is great. It's kind of what you want. I could absolutely see it going both ways. It's just going to be hard for me to put my hard-earned money down against a
so you
team
can pretty
looking
much
to
you can
three-peat.
buy out the VIG by taking the Eagles straight up.
Yeah.
No
Yeah,
VIG
no
on
VIG.
that one.
Yeah.
Plus 100, minus 100.
And you're
Same
rolling
thing.
with them.
I am rolling with the Eagles, yeah. I also had the news yesterday while we were on the air about Myles Garrett wanting to be traded. The immediate reaction from NFL media was that's not going to be easy for the Browns. They don't want to do it. They've said they don't want to do it. They're not going to do it. But if they have to do it, there's a huge cap hit that could happen. They may have to wait until after June, so they won't be able to get any draft picks this year to help their team. Cleveland's not in a great spot.
He's thrown them into a tailspin, basically.
Then we found out later in the day from Cooper Kupp himself that
was wild.
The Rams are going to trade him, or at least try to trade him.
They told him, we're trading.
Yeah, he's owed $20 million, I think, in salary and bonuses next year. But the talk again is that it may be difficult to trade Cooper Kupp at that price point. Other teams certainly not going to get more than a 5th or 6th round pick if you're going to do it. Now you saw the Rams had a surprisingly good year. Cooper Kupp wasn't the main target.
Nope.
Puka Nacua has overtaken him as their primary, and you can see why the Rams are like, all right, it's just too much money. We need to move on to a different direction. Cooper wasn't happy about it. I mean, he wanted to stay with the Rams, but now he's going to try to find a place to land. It's just going to be difficult for the Rams, Cooper Kupp, and the salaries to all match up in a place that he's going to find. So he may end up just getting released at some point, and other teams may know that, so they're not going to offer much because the Rams might not have a big choice in the matter here.
Yeah, it's a great player. Great player. We'll definitely find a team. Some people even saying, hey, may not have to move far. What about the Los Angeles Chargers? Would be a decent fit.
That is
Cooper Kupp.
a good fit. I mean, they need help at wide receiver.
Big time.
Lad McConkey was a good draft pick last year for them, but they lost all their experience. Quentin Johnston was not good.
It was not good.
Not good at
all.
all.
One of the worst, actually.
Obviously, they lost Keenan Allen last year, had to let him go for salary considerations. So, yeah, and they've got some room. That would make some sense. A very short move for Cooper Kupp.
Yep.
On a team that is on the rise. I like that. I like your thinking there, Woods. All right, we got a Rindle report. Paulie, anything to tease for our final segment coming up?
Oh, what do we have to tease here? Let me look at my stories because I've already forgotten them. Yes, the newest international location rumored for the NFL next year.
Like for a game?
Yeah, for a game.
Okay.
Like we've talked about them going to London, of
Sure.
course. They're playing more games in Germany. Another country, another continent.
All right. Antarctica. First game
I thought we
ever
did this story,
in
no?
Antarctica.
I thought we did this one.
First,
That's what I think it is.
We were talking about the big game. One way to increase your excitement for the big game is Prize Picks. You can set lineups for the big game, including adding a special square Patrick Mahomes, just 1/2 of one passing yard. Should be an easy pick to select more on that one. Combine it with between 2 and 6 players for your lineups and win up to 1,000 times your cash running your game all season long with Prize Picks. There's over 10 million members. I'm one of them. Billions of dollars in awarded winnings. It's real money. I have collected, cashed out, added it to my account. It happens really quickly. I did it with Venmo, had it within minutes. They also take MasterCard, Apple Pay. It's really easy to deposit and withdraw from your account at Prize Picks, and it's fun to play. It just kind of adds to your sports enjoyment every week, whether you're watching college basketball, pro hoops, whatever. It's just a lot of fun with Prize Picks. And, hey, this is the last football game of the season coming up, so last chance to really get into it before the start of next football season. Just download the app at the PrizePicks.com website and use the code KWFN. You're going to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That's $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup simply by putting in the code KWFN at sign up. Do it today. It's Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details.
complaint about the new time for Take on Woods. And I have a theory. Got one at FanFest, and we got one this morning via Twitter. That, hey, you guys, you really soiled the bed here by moving Take on Woods to 8:20 instead of 7:10 where it used to be. And maybe that's why your old pal Woods has been so terrible at it.
Really? You're too fatigued by 8:20?
So fatigued. My brain is fried.
That's an interesting
something
theory.
to consider.
It's an interesting theory.
You could always do a poll and put it up, and you can vote.
Well, everyone hates change. I think the trick is you stick with it for a little while. You don't hear from the people who are just getting now an opportunity to listen to Take on Woods for the first time, and it's becoming part of their routine at 8:20. Just doesn't really work with our new clock, and it just didn't work at the time because we have to break at 7:12, and we had been doing Take on Woods at 7:10,
right?
And it just didn't work anymore. So
Yeah,
I had to
it's too
find
tight.
a new spot. And if you say we'll do it at 7:20, well, that's where Don't Do This has been for years and years, and we thought let's leave that there. I don't know. That's just
a
kind
theory.
of behind the scenes.
You know
stuff
how
for
we
you.
get. If enough people complain, we'll move.
Oh, we know how
something.
you get.
We know. Yes, we know how you get. Ben doesn't really care what you think,
That's
but
fair.
Woods cares a lot.
That's true.
That's how we balance things out.
I'm working on something, a new principle. It's called non-attachment.
Oh.
I just learned about it, so I'm working.
Aren't
on
you
that.
already attached though?
That's the thing.
Are you trying to?
I'm trying to work
detach?
on. Yes, but not detach in the sense where you don't care. It's very complicated. It's an old Buddhist principle, and I'm working on
Fascio.
Right. A flute without any holes is still a flute. A donut with no holes is Danish. Person's able to let go of their emotional attachment to things, people, or worldly concerns. Non-attachment. That's what I'm working on. Because I care too much. Does that make sense?
You do sometimes care too much.
Yeah, well, I get 2 complaints. I'm like, well, we have to move it back. We have to.
I
make everybody
appreciate
happy.
it though, because you make up for a little of my lack of caring. I feel like
That's true.
Woods has enough caring for both of us.
That's
so
true.
I can just kind of keep rolling the way I do.
Rod says, already acting like a Raider fan. Excuses. That's so good. Yeah, I'm getting dragged for my new team. And I haven't committed yet. I did go and look at some Raider hats yesterday, and they look very cool. Very cool.
Zach says he sent me a category suggestion. Maybe I missed it. I'll go back through
You'll
my
be in
emails.
Vegas
Zach.
in a couple of weeks. And what about a
We'll-
month?
Yeah, we'll be in Vegas
They
in
got stuff
a month.
everywhere.
Speaking of Vegas, the Slam Dunk in Vegas National Contest is your chance at the ultimate trip to Las Vegas. All you have to do is download the Odyssey app, log in, and listen to 97.3 The Fan for at least 1 hour to earn your daily entry into our national contest. The grand prize, travel and accommodations for a winner and 3 guests to Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas' premium sports viewing destination, where you can watch the biggest March Hoops party at Stadium Swim, plus $20,000 cash. And who knows, if you're lucky enough, maybe you'll run into Woodsy in Las Vegas when he's there
Decent
as well.
chance.
Quickly, the Lakers are having their introductory press conference for Luka Doncic right now. He said it's a dream come true to get to play with LeBron, so seems to be excited about that. Talked about his one chance to meet Kobe back in 2019. He said, I couldn't believe Kobe knew my name. Like, I was like through the moon, and he's only sad that Kobe wasn't around to see him get to become a member of the Los Angeles Lakers. So as sad as he seemed to be 2 days ago about leaving Dallas, now he seems pretty psyched up to be joining the Los Angeles Lakers.
He apparently too in Dallas, he had just like closed on a $15 million house. What a beating that is. The things that you never think about, like when these guys get shuttled off to different teams. He just bought a house, $15 million. The agent's
No,
like,
they don't have to tear it down. You can still own the house.
The agent's like, yeah, no problem. Yeah, I know we just got this done. I could
I'll knock 0.5% off my commission for the
I'll get it
resale
back,
here.
get it back on the market. It's just incredible.
You know, you're thinking like Hannah Nancaro.
That's
Woods.
exactly right. That's exactly right.
All right, Paulie's got a Rindle report coming up here. Oh, by the way, Luka, they say, is day-to-day, is expected to play soon. Some reports say maybe Monday against the Utah Jazz.
Said he's highly motivated, by the way, with
But-
all of the talk about his
The
conditioning
talk.
His has not played since Christmas Day when he suffered a calf injury. So trying to get back on the court ASAP though to get in gold with the Lakers. But day-to-day for the time being, says Rob Pelinka. All right, Paulie's got the Rindle Report after our last check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Couple problems wrapping up our morning drive. Still going to see some activity along westbound 56 past Camino del Sur. An earlier crash left a chain link fence down in the center divide. So, yeah, just take it extra carefully there. We've got left lane may still be blocked. Also, southbound side of the 125 past the 8-vehicle accident over the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Rindle Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Rindle Report with Paul Rindle.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Rindle Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right. We'll start with a controversial story because we don't know if we've done this or not. The NFL, talked about it over the years. They've been expanding which team will play in London full-time. They had games in Berlin, games in Munich, and now it's being reported that starting in 2026, the NFL will have 3 regular season games in Australia, Melbourne. And the first teams that are being reported are the Eagles and the Rams to play at the Melbourne Cricket Ground beginning in 2026.
Thought we did this. Maybe not.
I don't think so. I think
mean,
this is fairly new.
Came out
Yesterday?
Yeah, this is new
All
news.
right.
We talked about Berlin. Roger Goodell said yesterday he sees a future in which a Super Bowl may be played outside the country. Logistically, I'm not sure how that works, but he thinks there will eventually be like an NFL team based maybe in London.
You can't.
Full time.
You can't.
You could.
You can't. Are they on the Concorde? Like, how are they? Like, who wants?
I would say
travels.
I think we've
East
talked about
Coast
this
to
before.
London.
You
What's that,
play
5 hours?
You play like 3 straight games at home where you're in London,
Yeah.
and then you travel to
For
the
3
U.S.
straight
and
games?
you have a base in the U.S. where you like go back to between the games where you play like 3 straight games on the road, and then you go back to Charlotte or wherever, at a facility where you train, and then you go back to London for another homestand or something like that. It's doable. The Chargers played an Australia game back in the 90s, and that was a preseason game. And I remember my old photog at Channel 10, Jeff LaValle, was on the team trip. But that was a long trip.
Yeah, it's a hike over to Australia.
I mean, talk about time differences, and
I'm seeing like 21-hour flights from Philly to Australia.
I hope there's a bye week somewhere mixed in for the teams that have to go to Australia.
Yeah, I would imagine.
I wasn't close off. Antarctica. We're getting closer.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how you would make that work. That just seems like a gnarly
Yeah.
part
It's a
of your
regular
schedule.
season game?
Yeah.
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 Somebody
Eagles
said
and
that-
Rams first reported.
Somebody said that that stadium is massive. It holds like 90,000
A
people.
lot of cricket fans down there in Melbourne.
I think I would be a huge cricket fan. Huge.
John Boy's gotten into it.
He has.
I still don't understand it. I just can't figure it out.
I don't get it either. You just bat all day? Like
It's-
if you're on a heater, you just sit up there and hit all
But like
day.
you get one strike against you and you're done
You're
for the
done.
day, I think. Like it hits the wicket, you're like out, and that's it. You don't ever get to bat again.
But if you're locked in,
You never stop batting.
you could bat. What's the longest? Somebody look up what the longest at bat from a cricketer has ever been. It's
Longest
fascinating.
cricket
to me.
at bat.
Hanif Muhammad of Pakistan holds the record for the longest individual innings in cricket history. He batted for 970 minutes and scored 337 runs.
Wow.
In 1958.
AI failed me here. They said the world's longest cricket bat is 56.1 feet long
Inches.
and
Oh,
weighs
feet long.
9 tons. It was made of poplar wood and designed in India.
Paulie, give it to me again. Give me the number.
How many days? What?
It was
970.
970 minutes, 337 runs scored.
Dude batted for 16 hours.
Wow.
I'm done.
My arms
I
are
want
falling
to go.
off.
I want to go. Bro,
at some point your lead is big enough where you feel
are
comfortable,
locked
right?
in. Don't walk away. That is absolutely fantastic.
Oh man,
That guy, like, we should know his name. He should be mentioned with Babe Ruth and like.
Can you imagine
Hanif Muhammad?
Muhammad.
Pakistan.
Can you
the
imagine
goat.
the side
The
eyes
literal
from
goat.
Jesse Agler or Don Orsillo, like in the 14th hour, like.
Come on! I don't think they call it a base hit, but another base hit.
2 more wickets for Fernando Tatis Jr. Here we go.
16 hours of batting.
Oh God!
Like I couldn't even do that for charity. Woodsy hit 40-mile-an-hour machine for 16 hours. Just, I'd be tired after 20 minutes. Go to Boomers, put in 2 quarters, and take hacks, and you are gassed when you're done. When you are done. That is amazing. How do you commentate? I need to do a deep dive on cricket. How do you commentate? Do they take breaks? Do you come back the next day? What's the max they'll let you go in a day? I have all these questions.
Still can't figure out how do you keep score. It's such a like. Have you ever seen a list of cricket scores? It's like reading a stock ticker.
It looks like the Aztecs ticker on
Mountain West
on Mountain West
West
Network.
graphic.
That's what it looks like. I need to know more, man. I really do. I just found myself really fascinated.
Woody's Wednesday rabbit hole
Maybe on cricket.
returns.
All right, I'll see. I'll do the best that I can tonight to try to figure out cricket for everyone
I like
for
that.
tomorrow.
Perfect. All right, switch over to Major League Baseball. We talked about it last week when it happened. The Hall of Fame results. Ichiro Suzuki was 1 vote shy of being the second unanimous player to go into the Hall of Fame. And I saw Jeff Passan wrote today, the Baseball Writers Association of America says today we are publishing 321 of the 394 Hall of Fame ballots.
Okay,
So
those
81%
are the only ones that are public.
were public. And all 321 voters, according to Jeff Passan, who made their ballots public, did vote for Ichiro Suzuki. So once again, that one guy that did not think that Ichiro was a Hall of Famer is going to remain a mystery. He's one of, what's 394
72.
minus
73. He's one of 72 guys did and 1 didn't. And some gals in there as well. But
Coward.
I mean, everyone said, well, this guy just wants attention. He's not doing it right if he wants attention.
If he wanted attention, he'd put it out there.
Right.
Yeah.
He's terrified of the fact that he did not vote
Now,
for each.
the rest of the
That's because he knows he made the wrong choice, and
Which
he
is,
should
again,
have his ballot revoked.
Which is, again, like, if you're going to do that, I think you have to make it public.
Well,
agree.
Explain yourself.
The rest of the baseball writers could have done the funniest thing if everyone but one revealed their
Yes,
ballots.
correct.
Yeah.
But they didn't. There's cover of there.
There's plenty.
And we made the argument. I kind of half-heartedly made the argument. Well, I mean, if you want them to really give their honest opinions, making it a private ballot, like when we go into the voting booth, we don't have to say who we voted for. But you know what? I disagree with my own take. This is more like if you're like a senator, you don't get to vote in secret.
Correct.
You have to be held to a public. You have to be on the record.
Yes, you have to be on the record.
Your vote has to be on the record to show to the public because you have a trust here as a voter for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
It should be publicized for all the voters every year.
And listen, these are the conditions of getting a Hall of Fame vote. Like Kyle Glazer got one this year. We talked to him about it. He's really stoked about it. But one of the conditions should be, this is a public ballot. So be prepared to get roasted or lauded or whatever. You're going to get all of it. But if you decide to leave an obvious first ballot Hall of Famer like Ichiro off, you need to be able to explain your reasoning behind it. They get into these weird mental gymnastics sometimes where they're like, well, he's obviously going to get in next year, and I can only have 10 votes, so I'm going to vote for the guys that maybe aren't going to, the Adam Joneses of the world. And it's instead of just saying, I am so lucky, I've got 6 no-brainers here that I can vote for.
I don't think we ever played it because we were out at fantasy camp last week, but here's the audio. So they do a press conference like a day or two after the announcements are made of all the Hall of Famers, and Ichiro was talking about that one guy through his interpreter. Here's how that sounded.
I was able to receive many votes from the writers and grateful for them. But there's one writer that I wasn't able to get a vote from. I would like to invite him over to my house, and we'll have a drink together, and we'll have a good chat.
I would not want to be dressed down by Ichiro. No. I'll tell you that right now.
Even a translator.
Even especially by his translator. His translator sounds pretty tough.
Doesn't
it?
Hey,
come on over, have a drink with us, and I'm going to kick your ass for not voting for us.
Oh, man. All right. And then let's see here. Finally, I have a story for you guys. Now, none of us are single and in the dating world, but if you are in the dating world and, well, have $1 million to spend, I've got the dating service for you. There is a matchmaking service. It's called $1 Million Matchmaking that is taking an elite amount, like only the elites.
The elite of the elite.
Like,
the creme de la creme.
They currently have...
Yeah, actually, no, the rich of the rich.
Yeah. They currently have 3 clients, and it costs $1 million for their services. Over 100 people applied last week on their first day of beginning this service. It's a 12-month program, and the $1 million covers the salaries of 3 people that are dedicated to finding you some love.
Okay.
And here is what you get for $1 million.
All right.
You get a dedicated recruiter. This person will fly around all over the country to visit bars, gyms, concerts, and other spots that you think you might be able to find your perfect match.
Oh, so you don't have to match up with one of the other 2 people?
No.
The
3 people, the 3 person.
I was going to say, this is very limiting if there's only 3 clients.
I see where you're... No. They only have 3 clients, but they're only working for 3 people currently.
Right. Those 3 people can find anyone in the world.
Yes.
Not just one of the other 2.
Correct.
So this recruiter, they go around the country. They'll get you unlimited matches with full background checks. How do you get that gig, by the way?
No doubt.
All you do is just travel around, go to fun places.
Sounds like you're making a few $100,000 to do it. All right.
You get a matchmaker. They're going to help make sure that you are paired with the right people and also plan out your dates in minute detail. You do none of the legwork. You get a dating coach who will work with you and your dates on things like clothing, hair, dating etiquette. And if you get engaged less than 6 months after your program ends, they'll toss in a 3-carat engagement ring.
Oh, man, they give you the ring. $1 million.
Yeah.
Some people...
I mean, I would think for some people it's actually worth it. My question is, who wants to be on the receiving end of the treatment of... The scouter, the background check.
What do you mean the receiving end? The client?
No, like you're the person.
Let's say you're the man. A man
like
does it.
You're just a man does it. And you're just a woman in a bar, and this person comes up to you. Hi, I'm representing.
Can you come with me, please? I need a thumbprint, and I'm going to need your blood.
And you're going to meet my client. He's been groomed and coached.
He's ready to go. He's freshly coiffed.
Doesn't sound all that spontaneous.
It's not, and not that love can't be found that way. Certainly, it can be created, right? Like it can be manufactured. I think, but. I don't know, man. I
remember
it kind of makes me sad because that's how much people value finding somebody.
Yeah.
You know, to drop $1 million on it.
I do remember. There's I think it's called Raya.
Raya.
There's like Tinder, Bumble, all those other apps, and then there's Raya where like you have to have like a certain amount of money in your account.
Correct.
Like,
you have
fancy. To be a high roller.
That's right.
Even or high influencer or something just to even get into the service. This is that amplified.
That's insane.
Crazy.
Thank you, Paulie.
You're welcome.
That'll bring us to the end of today's program. Thank you for joining us. Tier 1's out there. Annie and Elston are coming up next at the top of the hour. For our executive producer, Paul Reindl and Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. From all of us here at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long, everybody.